So, one more time. Hey, what's up? It's Pete Thorn, and this is show number 174. How are y'all? Hope you're well. So, who we got here today? We've got, see, there's 264 people online, even with the technical problems I had at the beginning of the show. Oh, I'm not going to mention that because we're just going to edit it all out. So, the pickup video. Let's talk about the pickup video. It's 23 pickups, it ended up being. 23 pickups in a few different guitars. The white guitar, the white and black guitar, I swap in and out 18 pickups. The Destroyer is 3 different pickups. And then I also played a little bit on my Frankie and my Wolfgang to kind of show the differences between all of those. And it's enlightening, I think. Like, not even just, whether or not you're into the Van Halen tone, it's kind of enlightening as far as output and as far as magnets. I learned a lot doing it, actually. I learned that I think, well, actually, I don't want to spoil it. But one thing that it'll be good for is giving you an idea, no matter what you play, I think, at least through a dirty Marshall style amp, of what kind of pickup you might like. I think that it really, like I said, I learned a lot, Okay, one little thing. I think I really like Alnico 2 magnets, actually, for a bunch of different reasons. It's kind of interesting. It's like, now you can do pickup swaps professionally, says Lauren. Yeah, did you notice any standout pickups that you really like, says Todd? Well, I want to save that for after, because I want to actually listen to all of the clips. Like, I want to watch the video. Like I say, I'm going to put up the video today, hopefully for release. I think I should be able to get it up at 3 p.m. Pacific. So for folks that are around on a Sunday evening or whatever, if you got an hour and 10 minutes, it's really long. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes, actually. But, you can watch it in pieces or skip around and come back to it later and watch it. But standouts, just in general, I think for an overall pickup, I will say, like, depending on what style of music you played, but I mean, for an overall kind of thing, the 9K Alnico 2 variants are really nice. The other ones are a bit more of a specific thing, as you might guess, I guess. Like the more distortion style pickups and stuff, they're a little bit more, I don't want to say they paint you into a corner, but they're a great sound. It's just a little bit more of a thing, But what's interesting is when you listen, so I picked about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 different riffs from over the years of, kind of the first 4 Van Halen records to play. And what's interesting is that I guess it's probably predictable, but some of the pickups sound great for some of the riffs and not as good for some of the other riffs, So one of the things that I learned is, like, a lot of people think Van Halen is, okay, there's a similarity to his sound. It's a Marshall humbucker kind of thing. But when you listen to the different songs, you're like, oh, that pickup works great for that era of stuff, but it's not quite as there for that era of stuff. Which I guess when you heard him live, like around 82 when he had his cleaner sound going and stuff like that, you're like, okay, that doesn't sound quite like the records, but it's still him playing and it sounds great. That kind of thing, you realize that there's not one sound. There's a whole bunch of different sounds. So what I'm getting at is, yeah, sure, Dirty Marshall, humbucker, all that stuff, but the sound is quite different from album to album and from era to era, and certain riffs work with certain pickups better than others. That's all. So you got to find the one that's right for you. Steve L says he seems to like 9K Alnico 2 ceramic, and yeah, I mean, I can get with that. I think that that's a thing for sure, and it depends what you play. Once again, I mean, if you're a hard rock guy, that works really, really good, So, but it's the other thing that'll come to light in the video, I think, is just how important the Destroyer is to, we always talk about his Frankie guitar, and everybody does Frankie guitar builds and all that, and that was the guitar he was always pictured with the most, and that's what people focus on. But as far as the sounds of the records, you start to realize, like, oh my God, like the first 3 albums for sure is so much the Destroyer, So we got to talk about 2 guitars and not one, and we got to talk about a guitar with a stop tailpiece and a Tunematic on it, and maybe, well, I really think the pickup was a distortion pickup in the guitar for the recordings. everybody, this is the other thing you're going to hear is the Super 70 and what you think of that. I'm interested to hear in the comments and stuff, but it's pretty interesting, you know, I think. Nice haircut. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I had to get it. It's just driving me crazy, man. I just, at this point, I just look better with short hair. You know how it is. You go through, you're trying to live the dream again and stuff, and then it just, you know, I don't know. I think I'm sold on. You know that feeling when you look at yourself and you're in the mirror and you're just like, you look like shit right now. I was having that feeling like way too much. That's the honest, you know. Mike says, getting old. Yeah, it's funny. It's just, anyways. Matt says, I love your guitar playing. Keeps me practicing my chops. Thanks, man. I to be honest, I don't feel like I've been playing at all for the past like week. I've been editing video. This video, I got to tell you, the video took me, I edited for 8 hours the first day and 10 hours the next day, and then did a little bit more yesterday. I mean, I think it was 20 hours of editing. It's just like, oh God, what did I do? You know? But it takes so long. If I could show you, I actually can show you because I've got the window open here. Okay. Oh, I've just got my phone, so I can easily point it at the. Yeah, this is actually really easy to show you. I want to show you guys like what a video edit in Final Cut Pro looks like when you're. Okay, here's the timeline of the video, and if you can see, go down here. This is what it looks. See all the little cuts here, like every single break and every single little gray thing, and all these are all titles. This is all separate audio clips and video. Every single one of these is an edit, and they're all color graded, and they're all, you know, completely, you know, I mean, look how many edits it is. It's like you're making a movie, you know. All those titles, all those audio files, every single one of these requires attention, you know, requires a clip and an edit, so it's tight. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on, and with the photographs and stuff like that. And this is towards the beginning, so that's the way it looks, you know, when you edit Final Cut timeline. It's insane. It's way too much work. So, but you know, it's a I don't know, we're insane. We like this stuff. So it's a labor of love, right? It's a labor of love. So Paul says, we appreciate your efforts. Thanks. No, hopefully it'll be, because I want to go through and watch it all and really listen now and try and decide. Here's another observation. I think that most of the distortion pickups, and there's some great ones, you know, super distortion style. We had at least 5, 6, 7 of those in the, yeah, probably like 7 or something from, you know, DiMarzio, as well as different boutique manufacturers and original old Mighty Might. And I will say that across the board, when a pickup has a ceramic magnet, it has more of a character. And it's kind of like there's differences between them, but to my ears, there's fewer differences between the distortion style pickups than the pickups with the Alnico magnets. If you wind a pickup up, and I guess there was more of the distortion style pickups that were all kind of around the same spec, which is 13.4 or 5K matched coils. You know, there was more of this a similar, you know, than the other pickups with the Alnico magnets, which tended to vary more. So I guess it makes sense. But it just seems to me like the ceramic magnet models have more of a kind of a color to them. So anyways, but hopefully you guys will find it enlightening and fun to watch, and it'll be maddening if you've got a significant other that's listening. So we'll try and watch with headphones because it's so long too. That's the other thing. It's like, it's probably too long, but I think longer is better. People seem to like long YouTube videos, and then you can skip around and stuff later. And Eric says, I'm not clear on what super distortion style means. A super distortion really was the original aftermarket pickup. I don't think there even was aftermarket pickups. I mean, maybe you could buy Gibson T-tops or something like as a replacement or something, but I don't think there was an aftermarket pickup until the DiMarzio super distortion, which is, when you think about it, it was a very, very different kind of pickup that they made. And it was really like, they really got it right out of the gate. It was a very forward-thinking, different thing, and it had a great sound for the era. So it's a 13.5K ceramic magnet pickup with, I guess it's 43 gauge wire, balanced coils, and Alnico, it's Alnico, What's the word I'm looking for? Allen screw pole pieces. I can show you what one looks like. Here's one from Pariah that is this style, right? So the pole pieces are the Allen screws, you know, as opposed to, well, here's another one. This would be a Motor City. See how they're similar. You know, as opposed to a more typical looking, you know, original Gibson style humbucker that would have a slug coil and a screw coil, and would have, you know, would be wound with different gauge wire, as well as probably kind of a different wind, and an Alnico magnet instead of a ceramic magnet. So when I say a distortion style pickup, generally speaking, now a Duncan distortion has a ceramic magnet, but it's got the traditional slug and screw coils. A Duncan Custom has a ceramic magnet, it's got a slug and screw coil. So when I say a distortion style, I mean a super distortion, generally speaking. I guess it can be like confusing, but the super distortion spec with the, you know, I guess it's a hex screw kind of pole pieces. Did you use a WCR or Jim Wagner? No, they weren't in the test, but we've got Seymour Duncan, DiMarzio, Mighty Mite, Bare Knuckle, Sir, Friedman, Rewind Electric, Motor City, Pariah. I'm missing some. I know I'm missing something, but there's a bunch in there. V-Boss is up there in the super chat. With so many high gain amps these days, where do high power pickups fit into the tonal equation? You know, I'm always one that's tooting the kind of like the low gain pickup thing, and for many things, I think that's a thing. What am I trying to say? I'm always kind of saying that like the lower output pickups are great because they don't paint you into a corner tonally, and that's what we did with the Thornbuckers and stuff. And I think that's true. With that said, there's something about a high output pickup. It just kind of, you know, the mid output or high output pickups, they just boost into the front end of the amp more, and they give you kind of more of an easy sustain and, you know, feel coming out of the guitar. The harmonics seem to kind of explode out of the guitar more and all that. The PAFs will make you work a little bit more, lower output pickups, but with the gain being clarity, not the gain, but the gain. English, what a language. You know what I mean? The advantage being the fact that you've got clarity, you know, and not sort of, you know, you're not painting yourself into a sort of distortion corner. What's the best amp for clean tones to use for bedroom volumes, says Gunner Man. Let's come back to that in just 1 second. I just didn't want to miss that. I'll highlight it. Just a little bit more about the high output pickup thing, though. You know, there is a thing to them where they are really fun. Like I was out at Sir a few weeks ago, and I was playing John Sir's own. He's got a signature model as well now, you know, and it's got an SSH Plus in it. And I was swapping with that guitar between that and my signature guitar, which has a Thornbucker Plus and it's much lower output. And his guitar is really fun to just plug into a PT100 that's set for distortion, and it's like, oh, no, it's just sustained forever. I go back to my guitar and it's not as much, you know, but I can hit the Coco boost and then basically get there, like by adding the mid boost or whatever, you know. So it's just that you're on the one-way ticket to the gain train with the high output pickup, and it's kind of fun, you know. They are kind of fun. So what's the best amp for clean tones to use for bedroom volumes? You know, honestly, I don't know if at bedroom volumes if you're going to notice a big difference between something like a Katana and I've got a little Princeton Reverb, a silver one that's really great. You know, something small like that is just fine. Or you know, the Katana is a really nice amp that a lot of people can, you know, or a THR, really good. If you watch the little video I did with Chris Buck in Germany when we were at Thomann, we did a video on inexpensive kind of modeling amps or small solid state amps. Amps under $200, I think, was kind of the idea. And you can hear him playing through some beautiful stuff through the THR, and I think that's a really nice little thing too. And you know, with those, you generally get the Bluetooth option and a bunch of cool things where you can, you know, send tracks out from your phone to the amp, and it's helpful. Eric says, thanks for the super distortion explanation. You bet, man. Did you happen to try different fuzzes on some of the pickups? No, the riffs I played are just Van Halen riffs. So through the SL68 cranked on 10, and Van Halen 1, 2, a little bit of Women and Children first, Fair Warning, you know, some riffs from those records. It's really a Van Halen themed, you know, for Van Halen tone, but it's going to be enlightening for probably other tones as well. You know, this will be the last Van Halen thing I do for a while. I think, yeah. I gotta do some other stuff for a while. Just as far as, you know, the themed videos. Rumi says, a few chats back, I asked about Evh and Double Tracking. You responded Evh sometimes did 2 different parts. Why didn't he ever play one thing the same way twice to fatten it? You know, he did on the, if you listen to the original Gene Simmons demos, and you can hear him basically do that, I think. The demos that didn't get them a record deal. And, you know, when you hear him, he talked about it in interviews. I mean, he just liked to play the track all the way through as though they were playing live, you know. Okay, I'll tell you a personal story. I can remember when I was doing a video for the I did the video for the Evh 5150 distortion pedal, right? And I was up at his house and I was showing it to him, the original one I did, which was more in the Van Halen, you know, kind of, I wanted to do it early, sort of Van Halen 1, 2 sort of style or whatever. And he said right away, he's like, can you make a heavier one? He was really, later on, he was into really heavy guitar stuff. He loved heavy tones and, you know, like some of the, you know, he seemed to be, he had a real thing for, like, at that point, for, you know, heavy stuff. So he, you know, and you heard that maybe with the tones that he was drifting towards, more distortion and stuff like that later on. And so he said, can you make a real heavy one, like do another one? I was like, sure, absolutely, I'd be happy to. And I was like, so should I like double the guitar and do a solo up the middle kind of thing? He goes, no, just play it all on one track. And I started laughing and I looked at him and I go, that's your thing. And he goes, well, you know, but I remember that clearly. I've got a fond memory of that, like me asking him and then coming to the real. Of course, he's not going to say to do that. He, like, you know, he's like, no, don't, just play it, just do one track. He just liked it, you know. I don't know. That was his honest, you know, being asked that question. Should I do this? No, don't do that. It's kind of funny. Anyways, we got another top chat up there. I'm just going to stop at this one. Unit 67, how do you like to use it? I was thinking a cool solo or clean tone booster. Yep, for that. EQ if needed. Yep, for that. It's kind of just like when you're like, oh, I need a little boost. Well, I can hit it with that. I'd like a little sort of transparent compression. I can get it from that. I'd like a little more poke for this one part, kind of a la Rangemaster, but not maybe all the way. Because it's not really as aggressive as a Rangemaster, even though they say it's got a Rangemaster boost on it. But yeah, that, you know, it's kind of just like if you watch my video on it, you'll get, I think, the impression. It's kind of just like a more better box, really. It could be an always on box. It's got a great, you know, little compression, little EQ just to even things out and make the guitar just sit a little more and maybe boost the amp a little bit, buffer. Great, you know, it kind of does that stuff really well. So, all right. Let's see. Visach. Oh, I see. Visachatrucci's up there in the super chat and says, where is that super chat? I want to highlight it. I'm having trouble finding it. I'm going to find it. Where is it? Rumi? Vivas? That's so weird, man. God, the technical bullshit is killing me right now. I can't highlight this chat, but Visachatrucci says, hey, Pete, a longtime fanboy, curious if you've ever tried the Dirty Fingers pickups. Sort of made famous by John Sykes, and if so, have you had any thoughts on them? Once again, I think a Dirty Fingers is pretty similar to Duncan Custom. I don't know the exact specs of a Dirty Fingers, but it's a ceramic hot Gibson, you know? So, you know, I'd love to have actually included one of the 500 Ts in this test, because like I was saying earlier, it's like the one thing you'll hear. I want to hear what you guys think after you watch the video, but the ceramic pickups all sound like in a family and not as different. They all sound really good for that sound, actually, and they sound more similar to me than the Alnico ones, where there seems to be more variation, you know. I don't know. I guess a balanced coil. I don't know if it, I mean, does anybody make a ceramic magnet pickup with an offset and kind of more vintage style stuff going on? It doesn't seem like anybody makes a 9K ceramic magnet. You know, it's just like not a thing. Maybe somebody should do that. Try it, you know. But Paul says there's way more variance in Alnico and ceramic. Yeah, something about the magnet. It's got a sound. It's got a hard, you know, aggressive, cool, but it's a thing, you know, and more similarities. John says Dirty Fingers are 15 to 16K. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what. There's a Sir prototype pickup in the test that's a 17K ceramic. It's basically an SSH plus with a ceramic magnet, I do believe. And it's interesting. It's not worlds apart from the other ones. It's a little hotter. You can hear it. It's got just a bit more. I think metal guys might like it. I actually saw John yesterday for his birthday, and so we hung out yesterday with family and stuff like that. It was really fun. But what was my point? Oh, I was telling him, I go, I think metal guys are maybe gonna like, when they hear this pickup, they might be interested in it because it's like a super distortion, but even more, you know, and in a cool way. It's like pretty cool. So Bogeyman says, here's your Magnus opus of videos. Thanks, man. Thanks for doing the super chat. I appreciate that. The only ceramic I loved was the Tom Anderson H2 Plus. I wonder what was the pickup that Billy Howardale liked. Maybe an H3 or something. Sir Aldrich is like 17K. Yeah, but keep in mind that doesn't necessarily equate to output. It depends, you know, if the magnet's degaussed or like different things, I guess inductance and different things of the, you know, the pole pieces. And you know, the metal matters as much in the, you know, like what screw and slug coil or two, you know, to all the different, you know, the wind. It's like there's so many different things besides just that 17K. Because an Aldrich pickup is hot, but it doesn't really sound like, you know, oh my God, it's like over the top, like as far as like anybody with an Aldrich pickup can probably, it's not like it's some mid bomb or something either, you know. They've got clarity, so it's interesting. But yeah, you are right. It is 17K. Robert says he loves the 500T and Duncan distortion for Jackson V. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder how, like, they're probably pretty damn similar, really, you know. It's two pickups. Yeah. Stealth Parrot says he saw Van Halen on the 5150 tour. It was a great tour, though. It was a lot of fun. Sure did seem like Ed was having fun, you know, in '86. Billy uses the H3 Plus. Yeah, I wonder what the difference is between that and that. I don't know much about Anderson pickups, to be honest, but I just like Billy's sounds. I like Billy, too. He's a cool guy. He's fun. He's a bud. We hang out every now and then. I've just never asked him about, like, his guitars that much. His guitars are, Billy Howardale's guitars are very interesting, how he, like, put them together from, like, his main Les Paul that he used in Perfect Circle was two different Les Pauls put together because it was a Trent Reznor guitar from a Nine Inch Nails tour because Billy used to tech for him. And Trent broke the guitar. You know, he used to break it was like a Les Paul Studio, I think. And the headstock came off and he smashed it or whatever. And Billy ended up putting a headstock from another Les Paul on that guitar. And he put it back together and he repaired it. And that became Billy's main guitar. It's like Trent just gave it to him. You know, it was a broken Les Paul. And that's the one he ended up using. Kind of interesting, right? Like, I wonder how, was the break really that similar or how did he, you know, splice them together? It's kind of funny. So, just goes to show. Rory says, I saw Van Halen in 76 and 77 at the Whiskey. Anybody else here see them back then? It's funny, I have a picture of them at the Whiskey on my desktop. I wonder if I can share it. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. I've never actually tried to do that. Video file. No. Well, I'm just going to do it. Oh, no, I can't because I'm on the phone. Never mind. This is all for naught. I guess I could do this. This is kind of cool. Here. Check it out. There it is. You guys can see your chat up in my window. There they are at the Whiskey in, you know, whatever, 77 probably. and you can see Ed's playing the Destroyer. I found that picture because I was trying to make the point of, you know, how important the Destroyer was. You can also see one JBL in one of the 412s right there. So, yeah. The video just exported. So I think what I should do is start my upload of the Van Halen video to YouTube right now. So I'm going to multitask and do that while we are, because it's 6 gigs. It's really big. Let's see here. Just bear with me. And that way it'll be, when we finish up here, I can go and get it ready to put out today. Does everybody think that's a good idea? Should I put it out today? I mean, I wonder, because maybe I get tired of, maybe you get tired of me today, but maybe not. I also just want to see like how long it takes to upload, because the upload and download speed here is insanely slow right now. So if there's something wrong with our internet, it will tell me that by just trying to put it up. Okay, there's a super chat. Gotta get to. Who's up there? Orbit CL. Hell yeah, says SMY tree. Depends on your bandwidth, says Austin. Yeah, I'm just having bandwidth issues. When I got in here today, I did a speed test just randomly. Super fast download at about 600 or 700 meg a second, and upload was 2. So I tried to sign on to do the show today, and it was all blurry and stuff, and we know why, because I did the speed test, and that's why. So I don't know. I got to solve the internet problems around here. It's tough around, you know, when you're, I guess, just anywhere at work where you've got internet and there's more people and more routers and more stuff. It's just more stuff to screw up. So I'll try and get the powers that be around here to reboot the router today, and we'll see what happens. This is all not interesting, though. Let's see here. John says, listen to Van Halen Women and Children first album today and was surprised by how dirty the tone was. A bit fizzy. You know, I'm not really... that's the one album. There's some great songs on there and stuff and some really cool riffs, but it's the one album that I'm like, the sound for me isn't. And then it came back on Fair Warning. It's better than, you know, better than that record, I think, and really cool, like, and sort of different, darker, dirty, you know, the whole 9 yards. Kind of interesting. But Women and Children first, to me, to some degree, it sounds. I like the record, I do a lot, but to some degree, it sounds like a band that got off the road and the label's like, we need another album, we need a hit, we need a whatever, and they went in and just kind of did it, and it was like a little. Van Halen 2, in contrast, sounds really great to me. It's actually kind of one of the best sounding. Like Van Halen 2 sounds amazing to me, but Women and Children first, just I don't know, a little bit of. Am I crazy, or you know what I mean? And it's a bit of that, the fuzzy. There's quite a bit of reverb on the guitar. It just sounds a little bit more like not as defined or something to me. So for whatever reason, but put it out yesterday, says Paul. I will. I'll put out the video today. Will that mess with the stream? No, Lauren, it won't, because I'm doing this over 5G right now, or whatever, 4G or whatever the hell I've got on this iPhone I have. I'm off the network doing the stream right now. So love my PT100, says Orbit CL, but wish the clean crunch was foot switchable. Is it foot switchable in the PT15? We don't actually have a clean crunch on the PT15. So there's no crunch circuit on the clean channel of the PT15. Just decided to not do it. It's a different clean channel altogether. It's much more akin to the Bella in the PT15. It's basically like the Bella Clean. I mean, I do believe the clean crunch in the PT100 is just kind of cutting the gain on the input. So you could hit it with a clean boost and you'd probably get a very similar sound to the clean crunch switch. You know, just do it with a clean boost pedal and see what you think. You know, but it was just something that I can't remember why John didn't do that foot switchable. But you know, we do have the boost in the PT100. I mean, you've got the MOSFET boost in front that you can hit it with. I know it's a slightly different sound and it does jump the volume up a little bit, but that's in there. And the clean boost in the PT100, you know, the boost switch. It's actually, it's a MOSFET boost, and it's actually, it's not straight up full frequency clean. We dropped some low end out. We tuned the tone a bit, so it's a bit more like a pedal, but but with full headroom, you know. You can tweak it. There is a trim pot on the inside to tweak the amount of boost, and you know, you might find that that does what you want, because it does have that boost in it. So, you know, a couple different options there. Here's a question that I don't really know much about. Thoughts on pine cabs versus plywood? Do you find small combo amps with either have a, geez, I don't know, man. Not my area of expertise. I know some people really like pine cabinets. I've got a pine open back 112 here. It does sound really good, but this is something that I like, just like the pickup video. Before doing it, you think you know, and then like, you know, it's like you think you know, and then like you got to do the test. You got to go through the work to like and actually listen, you know. And so I would have to A/B a bunch of different cabinets, and then we would all know, you know. It's another video. It sounds like. Sorry, I wish I had more of an answer. Doesn't the Kemper with brown sound tone pack sound pretty realistic? Pretty good for the ones I've heard. It's funny, you know, when I hear other people play stuff like that, it's like, that sounds pretty good. And then I'll download them and go, it's okay. You know, like, I don't know, maybe it's just when you play the real thing, you know, like a real Marshall with, or, you know, an SL68 with the right spec through a cabinet and mic'd and everything, it's kind of just a different experience. I mean, even though the cab is in another room and isolated, you can still feel it through the wall a little bit, you know. It's this different thing that just volume gives you, and the real, I don't know. And also there's the voltage. Did you see the video I did on the sag and all that of it's called Why, you know, tube amp distortion is the best distortion. I put it out a couple weeks ago. In that video, it's like that kind of, you know, that sag, that voltage thing that happens and everything. It's like, I don't know, I just don't know if I've ever heard that exactly replicated in a modeler. I mean, I know they give you these parameters like sag in a Helix and in an Axe-Fx, but maybe that's another video. But, you know, to go and do a comparison like between them and listen to, can they replicate the sag? That's a YouTube video, you know. But I feel like I need to do some other stuff for a while and get away from this topic of loud distorted Marshalls for, you know. I just need to you know, it is interesting though, you know. Now that you've had time with the Quad Cortex since your original video, have your feelings changed? Not really. I think it's a great unit, you know, in the modeling genre, in the modeling spectrum, I don't know, they're pretty terrific. It's a great tool. I honestly, I haven't had much time to use it in the last few weeks because of just the stuff I've been doing. These other videos I've been doing have taken up all my time and stuff, and I've got a whole bunch of other I've been neglecting. You know, there's like a couple plugins and a couple overdrives and different couple delays, amazing delays that I got to get to in the next few weeks. So I've got some other stuff that I got to do, but there's only so many hours in the day, you know. Braxall's asking about Quad Cortex 2. How do I record with it in my studio? I just took the analog outs, no USB, just analog out right into my UA analog ins. You know, you can use it as a USB though, I think, interface. Yeah. This is an interesting question. You know, I went to see a sitar concert once, a guy who was rated the #2 sitar player in the world. And it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, musically, it was so entertaining. It was about 3 hours long, I think, and it almost turned into a clinic. And his ability to play melodies on that thing where he would hit a note and then bend pitches. And, you know, we're talking about an acoustic instrument here, and he would bend pitches, and you would hear like a whole melody with like 10 distinct pitches with his bending technique. The guy was, I mean, you know, sitar, to be really competent at it, it's incredibly difficult, and to be really competent, you devote your life to it. And this guy had been playing sitar since he was like 2 or something, and he was mind-blowing. It was unbelievable. I really enjoyed it. But beyond that, I wouldn't say I, you know, I mean, so, I mean, I'm interested in all kinds of things as far as tonally and stuff. And sometimes getting away from the old pentatonic and blues scales and stuff is really fun, and doing some, some things that are not blues, like really modal. And, I will say that, but I can't say that I've gone to, Indian music in particular and drawn like a ton of inspiration and written around from that or something. I'd love to see one of those concerts again, though. That was amazing. Really enjoyed it. Michael M. It's a coffee extravaganza here from Michael. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Pastries from Porto's. I know Porto's. Unfortunately, I'm like gluten-free guy, so I can't do that much. But I wish I could. But coffee is gonna happen. This is a good point. YouTube app tends to drop resolution to 144p on your streams because my internet obviously sucks. Maybe not right now, but maybe when I start, it senses the upload or whatever. I've just been having problems with the internet around here, and I gotta suss it out. So I'll figure. If need be, I'll get my own damn internet in here. I share it with the building and stuff, but if it's not working out, I'll find some other way. I'll spend hundreds of dollars to get the my own internet for this room wired situation, because it's pissing me off. I don't have access to the router. It's in another building. It's a long story, but so when I have an issue, I can't actually reboot and do all the things you would need to do. There's very limited things I can do, and then I end up doing what I'm doing right now, which is I'm on the phone, which sucks. So might have to look into another option, because this happens a little too much around here. But also, just Spectrum sucks. You guys experience it, right? I mean, they've got a total monopoly on the business, and it's a difficult thing, when I'm trying to find other internet and can't get it. So I'm gonna have the powers that be reboot around here today and see if it gets better and stuff. See if I can come up with some other. I need to be able to figure it out. Byron says that was the first time I guess you're talking about the video I did for heard the sag Pete always talks about in that video. Yeah, it's a thing. Metal Madness is asking about Tragically Hip. I can't say I was ever like a fan, because I kind of missed the boat, but I did talk a few weeks ago about the Gord's passing, and how it was really amazing to watch the concerts that they did right before he passed away, and how interesting it was to me that the whole country came together, and it was really like a power of music thing that was really great. Yeah. So let's see. Your Ibanez Destroyer that I didn't get it in Japan, actually. I got it in Huntington Beach. A guy owned it down in Huntington Beach. It was they go for around $2,000 to $3,000 now, and I paid in there. It was 22 or 3 or something. I ended up paying for it, which was a great deal, I felt like, for what it is and for what they go for. So it's a really hard guitar to find. There's not a lot of them around. You'll find a 76 Explorer a lot easier than you will a 76 Destroyer. So they're going up, and this video is not gonna, unfortunately or fortunately for those that have them, I guess it's probably not gonna help that issue, because you're going to hear how important the Destroyer is. It's a really big part of the tone. A really big part of the tone. Momo says you're in good shape. Hey, thanks. I'll try. I don't know. I got good genes, my folks. Thanks, folks. Thanks, grandparents. You guys rule. My grandparents all lived well into their 90s. Well, except for one. My granddad died at 85, but the rest of them 90, 97, almost. My other grandmother lived a month shy of 100. So I can only hope that I can come close to Actually, I don't really want to live that long. Just to completely change the subject. Yeah, 90's like, if you 89 is just fine, and if you're good till 89, you should be like, and then you know, maybe go and get on a boat, just push me out to sea at that point. Just, I'll see you later. Give me a little, yeah. That's my idea. Christopher Butler says, yeah, the YouTube resolution thing. I already highlighted that, I guess. Okay, what else we got here? Teammate says he's got to dip out for a bit. If you make it back, we'll be happy to see you again. And if you don't, tune in for the pickup video later. For those, we got 515 people online. I'm going to upload I am uploading it now, the pickup video. I think I'm going to try and set it to go live around 3 p.m. today. So I'll do this till 12:30 to 1:30, 1:40, something like that. And then I'll go and get that video ready to release. And hopefully I'll be able to get some timestamps done and stuff, and maybe get a little bit of time to go get some lunch. And then I'll come back. I'll put the video out at 3. If anybody wants to come back and spend more time with me today, your wife or significant other or whatever is going to be like, why are you hanging out with that guy on Sunday all day? And I want to go do something. What are you doing on the internet? Yeah, me too on the speed. Spectrum, yes, Spectrum. Friggin' Spectrum. Don't like the company. Some things I like about them, but generally I hate them, and they're bullshit, inconsistent. It's the inconsistency and the dropouts and if anybody's got Spectrum out there, tell me if I'm wrong, but like you'll be watching a movie at 1:30 in the morning, and then your internet just drops out, and it's like you're not watching a movie anymore. You might as well go to bed now. And then you call them and you try and get them to like, it's like, I'm not paying you this month. And they're like, I'm sorry, sir. The service has to be out for 4 hours in order to offer a refund, and then I can offer you a refund for 1 day, which is like what? Like, it's expensive, but what's a 1-day refund? $8 or something? Like, I just want my shit to work, and I'm happy to pay you for it. I will pay you handsomely if I can have consistent, fast service. Spectrum sucks in Ohio. Yeah, they suck. Yeah, crap. Pete Jones says, thoughts on A3 magnets. I only have one guitar that has an A3. My Telly has an interesting arrangement with the pickups. It's one of those Ron Ellis pickups, similar to a Duncan 5.2. A Duncan 5.2 is a Telly pickup they make that's got Alnico 5 magnets for the bottom 2 strings, I think, or maybe the bottom 3, and then Alnico 2 magnets for the top strings, which is warmer sound, you know. And then the idea is you keep the bottom strings stringy with attack, and the top strings have a little bit more twang. Well, the Ron Ellis pickup has Alnico 3 for the top pulse pieces, and Alnico 5 for the bottom. So similar. So I have Alnico 3 pull pieces on 3 of the strings of one of my guitars, and it sounds great. I love that pickup. It's awesome. I think that's a really cool idea in something like a Telly pickup to kind of warm up the top strings a little bit. Paul says the A2 is softer than the A3 brighter. Yeah, I mean, one of the things you're gonna have an interesting time, maybe, if you like this sort of thing, is watching the video that I did and listen to the Alnico 2 versus Alnico 5 pickups, because it's all Alnico 2 versus Alnico 5 as far as the Alnicos in it. And man, I got this newfound love for Alnico 2. I mean, I was always like, yeah, I don't know about Alnico. I'm an Alnico 5 guy, and it was like this thing I'd made up in my mind or something. And I don't know now. There's a bare knuckle pickup that sounds great which is the VH2. I have to say, it's really good pickup, and it's got an Alnico 5. Really nice sounding pickup. And it depends on the sound, you know, because they do have more attack and a little less spongy low end, you know. So if you want they're a little gang on the, you know, the low strings for muting and stuff, you know, it's pretty cool with an Alnico 5. There is that. But they do have a sharper kind of peak to me on the high strings and stuff, and sometimes that can be, you know, like the smoothing out on a cranked Vicious Marshall is a cool thing with the Alnico 2. So years ago, I mean, I still have it. It's a wine red Les Paul Standard 96 or so. It looks like Guindaleo's, and one of those mid-90s Les Paul standards, and I put antiquities in that guitar, and they're kind of a low wind A2 DeGoss thing. That pickup sounds great in that guitar, so I guess I did like them years ago. So, what's your favorite Alnico wood combo? Well, it just depends. I mean, I'm kind of an older guy in general as far as Strats and Tellys go, but I like ash too. It's just slightly more scooped. So I think the ash thing is cool if you're going specifically for a 50s vibe with, you know, brighter, twangy, low wind pickups and ash. It's a neat sound, you know. That's that thing. But I'm a little bit more when it comes to, you know, at least Fender style guitars. I'm a little bit more in the older 60s, slightly hotter camp, you know. So Paul says Alnico 2 is less top end resonant. I would say that that's kind of true. Considering an A4 set for a change, well, check out a Thornbucker, because that's what we got in there. I mean, I guess I already drifted this way with the A4 Thornbucker and Thornbucker Plus, you know. What was Dave's favorite pickup? You know, I think Dave needs to listen, and I need to listen too, to determine a favorite or a group of favorites. So what I say at the end of the video, you'll see when we put it out today. I say I think we're going to do a wrap up, because it would. I thought maybe we should get together at the end after the clips play and then talk about the, you know, but we haven't had time to do that because the video is just done now and it's just coming out. So I thought, why not put the video out, and then like in a couple weeks maybe we'll just do a 10-minute wrap up video where we talk about our favorites and what we, after sitting with the video for a little bit and listening, looking at your comments as well, seeing what you guys think, you know, and that'd be interesting. John says A3 is kind of like an A2 with a little something something. I'm not like in humbuckers. I've never heard one that I've heard a couple, and I was like, oh, but whatever. I actually have an A3 pickup here to listen to. That's a prototype that I didn't include in this test or anything. So I'm gonna check it out. What about Mr. Scary Pickups Arcane? I thought Arcane was maybe going to try and get us a pickup for this test, but that didn't happen. It just didn't happen soon enough. So, you know, to get one for the, Phil was going to send me one of his, Phil X. The Mule from Bare Knuckle has A4. Want to try those in Les Paul? I think it's pretty similar to a Thornbucker, and at least on paper, a Mule, at least the bridge model. Yeah. Travis says my ears are too old to hear the difference. You know, I don't know about that. I think you will hear a difference. It's a pretty big difference in some of the pickups. You ever tried a Les Paul with mini humbuckers? No, but I had a Firebird for 10 minutes that had 3 mini humbuckers in it. It was one of those Firebird, the kind of, you know, super deluxe one with like 3 pickups and gold hardware. It looked amazing, but it was like driving a Mack truck trying to play it. It was crazy. What's my opinion about the SL67? I love them. 67 and the SL68. They're terrific. No downside. Just get one if you want an old Marshall that's more usable with a built-in Variac. Have you ever tried Peter Florence Voodoo 59? I have. I have one here, actually. It's a good pickup. I bought one 15 years ago, you know, and I've still got it. I don't really remember exactly what it sounded like, but it reminds me of a low, I think it was an A5 kind of low whine, 8.6, 7, something like that sort of thing. I remember it had a little bit of feedback because I don't think it was potted, and it has a cover on it. So I remember it having a bit of a ring to it. So I think I took it out for that reason, maybe with the intention of potting it or something, which it just never did. But it was a good sounding pickup, I think, as I remember. I don't remember what guitar I had it in. Les Paul, probably. Yeah. Jay says my wife is sitting directly behind me while I watch every Sunday. Well, if you watch the pickup video today, she's going to be like, you're a crazy person, especially if you have it coming through speakers. Turn that shit off. Yeah. Brad says he's in Australia, currently 5:34. Whoa, early in the morning. If you're around in a few hours, you'll get to watch the pickup video, have some coffee, and check it out. was gonna put it up yesterday, and I just didn't. It was too much work, too much editing. I couldn't get it done in time. I tried. I did try. Yeah. What's this? I found hotter pickups sometimes take away the openness of a lower output. You mean a lower output sounds more open? Well, true. Definitely. Just the hotter you go, the pickup sort of takes over the tone more, and the other stuff seems to matter less and less. You know. You owned the blue Saraceno Trembucker. How was it? I got in a car accident on the way to the store to buy it. I remember that. In the 80s. That's the main thing I remember about it. It's funny. I kind of can't remember because it's so long ago. You know, I had it in a guitar, and I don't remember which. I was trying to think about that actually. Which guitar did I put that pickup in? It might have been in my Jackson for a minute, but I just don't remember. So I went to, you know, I bought them all when they came out. I bought a, what was the Vivian Campbell one, the full shred. I remember buying that too. I think that had wasn't that like a super distortion with the Allen screw poles on at least one of the coils had Allen screw poles. I think maybe one was an Allen screw pole and one was a screw coil, something like that. Kind of wacky pickup. I tried them, you know, when they came out, I was so excited to go to the store and buy them. I guess I wasn't driving safely that one day. Blues is a great guy, by the way. It's funny, you know, I got down here and now I know all these guys. It's like I came from Canada; these guys were all my heroes, and now like Blues was, you know, it's like a neighbor basically to where I used to live, and I see him around. He's a really nice guy. He's done so well for himself in the TV scoring world. He got deep into that, but you know, he loves guitar and he loves great guitar sounds and old Marshalls and all that stuff. And he's a killer guitar player. And that answers Joe's question. Yeah, he got really into film and TV scoring. Smart. I mean, he got out of kind of the, you know, making records game and went more down that road and did really well for himself and had some kids and he's got a nice family, I think. And, you know, he's a smart dude and, you know, still very active in the music business, just kind of behind the scenes, I guess, doing shows. You probably heard him play on TV a whole bunch of times and didn't know it was him. Yeah. Ben says, is it bad that I kind of like most pickups? You know, you're going to watch my video, I think, if you do watch it. I mean, I'm assuming I'm making assumptions, and we shouldn't do that because it makes an ass out of you and me. Assume ass out of you and me. But if you do watch it, I think you'll like some more than others. That's my prediction. I think most people will probably feel that way about it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what else we got here? Let's see. Travis says he lacks 6 to 10K. Well, most guitar happens below that anyway. Really. I mean, speakers roll off. If you look at what a speaker looks like, you know, the frequency response, it's above 5, you know. So it's a steep roll off. There's still stuff going on up there, but yeah, I'm just telling John Sir's texting me about something. I'm just gonna. I went to John's house yesterday because it was his birthday, John Sir's, and he's got this crazy hi-fi system with these crazy speakers that are like unbelievable. They're like these tower speakers that are, you know, and it's hi-fi land. And he told me. They're really expensive, but he told me, do you know that the guy that I got these speakers from, he makes a set of speakers that's $750,000. What? Like, you can buy hi-fi speakers that are $750,000. They're made out of billet aluminum, I guess. That's insane. Like, hi-fi people are we think guitar people are crazy. Hi-fi people are crazy. That's just crazy. $20,000 speakers as my knees hurt. Try 750,000. Try $750,000 for a pair of speakers. Somebody there at the party asked yesterday, is that for one or a pair? And I thought that is a good question. That's a very pertinent question. You'd be bummed if you ordered some and you'd say, okay, I'm going in on these, and then you only got one. People, where's the other one? Oh, that's price for a single. Yeah. Have you ever done a Plexi output transformer shootout? You know what? I kind of have. That's a great question. So because Sir's, once again, I love how things are, even though I had some technical problems at the beginning, there's some nice tie-ups and roundabouts today in the discussion, and this is one of those things. So when we did the PT100 release back 2014, 2013, 2014, John actually made a transformer swapper that like you could hook two output transformers up to at the same time and then flip a switch and listen to them. And you know, with the wires then going into the amp. It was so cool. So we actually had, because, you know, a transformer, even if you're a really good tech and you're fast, it's got 15 minutes to swap in and out of the amp. You would have to record. That'd be another way you could dB, I guess, is record with a looper and really listen. But this was a way that on the fly, we could listen to any two at once and then kind of eliminate, you know, be process of elimination. Well, that one doesn't sound good. Let's get rid of that one, keep this one, and then we hook up the other one. Well, they all sounded good. I mean, this isn't, you know, but you know what I mean? Like if you swap transformers in and out of an amp and it takes you 15 minutes, by the time, you know, you forgot what the other one sounded like. Really, you know, you've got to do a direct AB with things like this, kind of like with guitar pickups. It's similar. I'd say the transformers make a similar amount of difference maybe to the sound as a guitar pickup. Maybe not quite as much. And not as much as the speakers are the biggest difference, you know, and then maybe pickups next. But anyways, the transformers, it was cool, you know, so we were able to listen. I think we had about 5 that we listened to, like a Hammond, a Haber, maybe 2 different Habers, 2 different kinds, a Mercury, a bunch of the different ones. We didn't have a Marin, but we ended up with the Haber that is a Dagnall 1.5-inch 67 Plexi replica, basically, that I think originally Haber maybe made for Metro or something like that. It was like a, you know, one that they commissioned them and then they started selling them. Yeah. So, anyways, that's that story. You know what? What I should do is plug in my phone. Let's get a little juice while we're doing the show here. Rajiv says he liked the Mick Mars tone video. I love that amp too. That amp haunts me a little bit. It was a great sound that was kind of unique to that amp. There's something about it. It was really cool. Really, really, really cool sound. Just aggressive in the upper mids in a cool way. So, Andrew says, I think the Black album has a ton of tracks with modded Marshall, not a Rector. Well, they had a Jose back, you know. It could be joint. I've seen it. It was at Dave's being gone through. So he's got a Jose Marshall. Maybe he's got more than one. Somebody was asking a question about a Gil Yaron Les Paul. Have I tried Gil Yaron PIFs in any other guitars? No, just in my guitars, my Les Paul styles that I have from him. What else we got here? Haircut fun, because no way it was cheap to get one in LA. Thanks, man. Actually, you know, I got a great person for haircuts. She's awesome, especially for short hair. You know, she's really good and not expensive. So she's really good. One of the best people I've found, you know, in years to cut hair. And she's really good at it. So what else we got here? Michael says, but I appreciate it. Thanks for the donation. Can always get coffee too. I have the Friedman buffer bay, says Michael. When I turn it on off, I can't hear a difference. I'm wondering if it is working. Does it mean my board has clean signal? Well, likely what's going on is your signal's already buffered by another pedal on your board somewhere close to down chain from the buffer bay. If you want to hear what the buffer bay does on its own, plug into the buffer bay input and then take an output and go to your amp and run a 20-foot cable in front and then run a 20-foot cable after without your pedal board and turn on and off the switch. You'll hear the buffer bay then. Plug in your board, and if you don't hear a difference, if it sounds similar to, you know, when the buffer bay's on, it's because another pedal on your board is buffering, and once that happens, then you're buffered all the way down the chain. Simply That makes sense. Most people have more than one buffer on their board, you know. I mean, if there's a boss pedal on there, you got a buffer. So, eating some chocolate-covered blueberries from Trader Joe's. What else we got here? Eric Johnson, MXR Super Badass Distortion is okay for a cheap pedal. Is that the 78 one? I tried that one. I hoped it would be more than I heard. That wasn't my favorite. I don't know. What else we got here? Let's see here. Shout out to your haircut lady for us fellow LA folk. Okay, I'll tell you, it's Lauren is her name, Lauren, and the website is laurendoesmyhair.com. And she's in the Valley. She's great. Does great haircuts. Good deal. Nice. She listens to a lot of 90s rock while you're cutting her hair. Well, she's cutting your hair. 90s through early 2000s. She's always got that on. You're going to hear some, you know, Fuel and some Audio Slave, some Foo Fighters and some Nirvana, and you're going to get a haircut. That's the deal. What else have we got here? That's my opinion of the Engel Savage 120. You know, I don't know that amp in particular, but I have played the Synergy Savage module and quite like it. I will say, out of all the Synergy modules, the Engel ones are fun because they do something different than a Marshall. And I like their aggressive kind of, you know, for metal or for, it's cool. Like, it's like, that's a cool sound. I like having that. Like, and it would be a sound I could use it to contrast with other sounds. So I can only imagine it's the preamp out of the Savage. So I think I've basically get the idea. It's got a grindy, great hard rock thing that doesn't necessarily sound Marshall, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? Let's see. Still happy with the Wilkinson locking saddles. Yep. Waiting for a set that's stuck in Swedish customs. They're great. When you put them on your guitar, I would just recommend, you know, you got to get the screw locked down. You don't want to, you know, because you will strip the wrench or the thing, but make sure it's tight. Make sure there's no play. Just tighten it up real careful to the point where there's no play. And put the strings on, intonate the guitar, you know, do the setup first. Put the strings on, intonate the guitar, stretch them out really good, tune it up, stretch them out, tune it up, get it all to where it's basically ready to go in tune, then lock the strings down. Put a little bit more, because there's length behind the string, you don't want to be doing things like adjusting the intonation once the saddle's locked, right? Because you got a string in there and it's locked tight. And now if you try and pull the saddle forward, it's pulling against the ball end. That's not going to work. So you got to do all the setup and everything, the tuning, get it all ready to go, then lock the string in the saddle nice and taut, like, but don't go crazy because you can strip the wrench and stuff, you know. And then you should experience some really, really good tuning, you know, I think. Really good tuning stability, I mean. Yeah. Michael says 530K viewers is 170 likes. Yeah, hit that like button. I'm gonna be unabashedly suggesting go for it because I need it this week because I had such a rough start to the show, technically speaking. For those just joining, the pickup video, the big Eddie Van Halen tone pickup shootout video, I have uploaded to YouTube, and I'm going to set it to go live at around 3 p.m. Pacific today after this show. And if you got more time to spend with me today, you can watch it and listen to some guitar tones and pickups. See what you like. Simon up there in the super chat. He says he's from Melbourne. What's up? That's a great rock and roll town. AC/DC Lane, Akadaka. Long before a song comes up, can't wait for the pickup video. You're a legend for taking the time to do it. Thank you, man. I'm a legendary nerd. A nerd. That's what I am. But I appreciate your support, and please check it out. I hope you like it. Do I think a distortion pedal and a Marshall in a box serve the same purpose? Sort of. I mean, there's a lot of crossover there. Yeah. You look 10 years younger, says Guitar Effect. Thanks. I totally agree. Like, just short hair on me just works. I don't know, these days. And maybe generally on people, dudes, as they get older. It's just, I don't know. I railed against it for a while, but I've seen the light, and I appreciate the support, because you could have said your hair looks like shit. No. Anyways, yeah, I think there's a lot of crossover there, by the way, with the distortion pedals. The Marshall in a box, you know. I mean, a Sir Riot doesn't really sound like a Marshall, but sort of, you know. You know, like when I think of certain distortion pedals, it's like some are Marshall in a box, like the Friedman BE is like modded Marshall in a box, you know, the Wampler variants, you know. A Riot sounds a little different, it's like a little broader distortion to me, but there's a similarity there. When I think amp in a box, for sure, distortion pedal amp in a box, Marshall in a box, there's a lot of crossover there. Regarding the crossover situation, is the lamp to your left not a huge contributor? No. Not to the sound of the hum in my room, but I appreciate you doing the super chat. I'll tell you what, when I was trying to source where the, you know, we're talking about EMI, like the sound getting in the pickups and stuff. I have a lot of that in this room, and I know it's just the building. We shut off the whole power to the building, so there was literally no like main breaker, so there's nothing running through the building. And then I used a battery powered Black Star amp, a little Fly 3, and cranked the gain up. Same noise. So it's coming in the pickups of the guitar, and it's just in the air, you know, and it's not in the building even, from, you know, the walls or whatever. And I was able to walk back behind my building into the next building, and it's further away I got from the street where the big transformers are around here. It went, by the time I got about 20 or 30 feet further that way, it was way down. So it's just part of the, you know, my only way to do it would be Faraday cage in here and make, you know, shield the room basically, I think, which I'm not going to do because it's workable. I just work around it. One of the things in the pickup video you will hear, though, that's kind of interesting and something to take note of is noise, because some of the pickups are making more noise than others. So if any of you do work in a noisy environment or play in a noisy environment, that's something you're going to hear. And you can see me in the video move sometimes to try and find the position while I'm playing that is the lowest noise. And you'll hear some of the pickups are almost dead quiet, and other ones make more noise. And that's just the nature of humbuckers in general. They all don't buck the hum. You know, they're not all created equal. And the distortion models, because of the equal metal in each coil, same kinds of pole pieces, even wind, all that stuff, they tend to buck the hum better than some of the other ones that are, say, a mismatched coil PAF type with, you know, screw and slug coils. They just don't. And pickup manufacturers know this stuff, but I didn't know it. You know, I didn't know it till recently. So there's still lots to learn. I'm learning stuff all the time. So. Conductive paint, says Dan. You can do that, or you can do the mesh. You know, you can actually get this mesh stuff that you can put it in the walls. You can, you know, it's contractor stuff. Lauren, who's probably watching right now, was telling me that the paint is a much easier way to go. I can't remember if she said it was better or just as good or what. But yeah, you have to do all that and then tie it all to ground, you know, and it's possible. If somebody told me they could do it for like $2,000, I would probably pay to have it done. You know, more than that, no. Do you like top hat amps? I do. I've got one right there. I actually have two now. I have Amplexador and a King Royale, which was one of my main touring amps back 20 years ago. I had a King Royale, and that was my amp on the road, which is basically an AC30, nice AC30. And I'm a fan. I like top hat amps, and I really like Brian. He's a good guy, Brian Gerhard. And, you know, I learned a lot from him. He was one of the first kind of dudes that really taught me some things about tube amps, really, you know, 20, going on 25 years ago. It's crazy. But I really learned quite a bit from him. So I'm a fan of the amps. Yeah. So some super chats here. Thank you, guys. Jeez. JSL Project says, helps get through the week. Got a Friedman JJ Jr. last week. Was stoked. Sounds great. Power failed on Friday and got some new fuses today, and they blow as soon as I turn the amp on. Sounds like tubes. That'd be my guess. Which is, you know, just that'd be the first thing I would probably do, is just get a new set of JJ, you know, EL84s and pop them in there, and you'll probably be okay. But you've probably got a bad tube. JJs are the only ones I think in that amp that are pretty. I know to get the sound out of those amps, Dave was telling me at one point, they do like the voltages that I think the power amp runs out are pretty like smoking, like, and that's part of the tone of how they get the big amp sound out of those little bottle tubes. And because of that, you know, the tubes is a thing. Like, you gotta get it. So occasionally you'll run into these issues with there's sort of no free lunch, you know. And it sounds like maybe you just, you know, so they'll probably send you a set of tubes. But in the meantime, if you've got a set that you can get your hands on, you know, a nice match tested pair of JJ, you don't want to use probably I think those are the ones that Dave was mentioning are they're fairly robust, you know, the JJ. So try that. And what's going on here? Continue. Okay, I gotta just quit Final Cut Pro here for a second because it's freaking out like it always does. There we go. Yeah, but that would be, you know, just find a set of the JJs. If you got a local, you know, sometimes Guitar Center stocks tubes occasionally, you know, if you got a local, I'm not sure where you are, but, you know, that could be, looks like you're in the US somewhere. So that's probably going to be what it is. And you'll get a good set of tubes in there, and then you'll be fine. So Bill says, thanks, Pete. Have a great Sunday up there in the super chat as well. Thanks, Bill. You super chat guys. Too kind. Too kind. All of you. All of you. All of you. New John Mayer song. He has a Soldano going, and it sounds just like Clapton. No alibis, tone and licks. Thoughts? Yeah, I liked John's song, and I really liked his acoustic take on it that he put up on Instagram like yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. It's a good tune, you know. And a friend of mine, Kurt Schneider, was the engineer on the album. He recorded it with him, and I didn't know that till recently. I hadn't run into Kurt in a while, and then I saw him out, and he was talking about his pandemic experience and how they'd spent a bunch of time recording that record together. And so for him, it was an interesting pandemic because he was making a record with John Mayer that was a very 80s themed, you know. But I liked his tone, and it does sound very Clapton, you know, on that record, on that song at least. But it's a great little tune, you know. It's nice. I mean, who doesn't miss the 80s, you know? Maybe some of you, but I do. I miss the 80s. I miss the simplicity of the 80s. And, you know, I like John a lot, so I'm a fan. What else we got here? I actually hadn't, I want to talk to him about the Soldano, because I wonder what, you know, the deal is with that, if it's an amp he's had for a long time and if he used other things. I know he sent me a picture a long time ago of a bunch of stuff that he got. He said, this is ages ago. He said, I'm making a total 80s album. And I was like, really? Like, what does that mean exactly? And then he sent me this picture of this rack, and it was full of Rockman and Boss gear, like from the 80s, those Boss half rack things and all the Rockman stuff. And it's funny because it's like 80s, you could go different ways. Like when I think 80s, I think, oh, you know, ADA, MP1, and, you know, the preamps and the, you know, and other stuff. And then his take on it was the the Boss stuff and the Rockman stuff, which is totally valid too. That it was like, oh yeah, that's an 80s thing too, you know. But then when I heard the song, I was like, oh, this is Clapton vibe, you know, with the which to me was really interesting. It's like, oh, it's that, you know, with the Soldano and stuff and that kind of late 80s Clapton vibe. So it's interesting. Our version of 80s can vary depending on who we are, right? I guess, you know. John says he has the Fluence Classic Open Core in his #1 S-Type, 2 modes, PAF and PF Plus. Love and use both. Is there a passive happy medium for my Ash S-Type? So I've tried those pickups. I did think they sounded good. I thought the hot version was really hot, like it sounded like really aggressive, and I wasn't as crazy about it, but I liked the PAF sound, and I thought it was pretty cool. Is there a passive happy medium for my Ash S-type? Well, I would say, because the hot sound, like I say, was really hot to me, so I would say probably something in the, maybe like a Sir SSH would probably be a nice pickup for you. The single screw hot. It's around 12 point something K, I think. And I think it would give you the kick without too much. It's not like metal or something, I mean, it could be, but you know what I mean? It's, a truly overwound PAF sound. That would be my recommendation. In another pickup, if I think about the Duncans, or what's like a JB would be too much, I think. So come on, guys, help me out here. What's between a 59 and a JB? I mean, I think the full shred was 10 something K. Maybe a Pearly Gates, but it's just hot PAF, I think, too. Just trying to think of about like a middle ground kind of pickup there. Maybe some of the other guys will come up with something. I think that see, Gary here is talking about send the amplifier back. No, do not send the amplifier back. It's just the tubes. You don't need to send it back. Unless it's like a local music shop and you want to do that and they've got another one in stock or whatever. But this is tubes, it's like, that's what I did when I first got a Mesa Caliber 50. The tubes, it had 4 EL84s. They ran hot. It was a great sound. They red plated. I freaked out and got rid of the amp. It's like, no, it's just a tube amp. So this is what happens with tube amps. You've got control over the entire thing except for the tubes, which is they're made in, Czech Republic, and it's like they're not always. Where are they? Czech Republic? Is that right? Yeah, wherever Tesla JJ is. Anyways, you got to just try different tubes. So DiMarzio PAF Pro. I don't know how hot that is. Slash is 9K, but the Slash pickup's an Alnico 2 magnet, so it's like a PAFE. I wonder how different the Slash pickup is than the EVH. Like the Slash or an Alnico 2 Pro or an EVH. Like, are they similar? I will say, okay, in the video today, in the pickup video, listen to the custom and the Frankenstein pickup. They're so close. Like, I was like, okay, how are these different? They're very, 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 very close. So listen to those two and tell me if like you can hear a difference between those two. Come back to that. But when we've got some pickups of similar spec, like how different are they really? I don't know. It's kind of interesting. What else we got here? Mark says, greetings from Germany. Have you ever tried the CKK Destruction Drive? I don't think I've tried that one. How does it compare to a Radaramics or Distortion Plus? I don't know. I haven't tried that one. CKKs, I've tried the number 5s, about 3 different versions, as well as the Scream Honey. And I think those are the drives that I've tried from them. So, a tad hotter and more mid Slash versus Alnico 2. That would make sense, being that from Uranus Oyster. A tad hotter and more mids. That would make sense, because generally speaking, if an artist has a signature pickup, it's like the Warren D. Martini pickup he started, I do believe, with a JB, and what they ended up with was a hotter, I think it's like 17K, with the Slash pickup. It would make sense to me. It's like, can you give me the Alnico 2, but just like a little more, that would be the thing. That would be what I would probably do if, I was asking for a signature pickup and starting from one that already kind of existed, because Slash was famous for using the Alnico 2 Pros. That was what he used for ages. Yeah, so it's interesting. I say that a lot. It's interesting. Kevin Lee says, I just bought a Loudon acoustic, Loudon, and now I'm tempted to use all my electric guitar. Oh, tempted to see all my electric guitar gear after playing it. Do you mean sell? Do you ever get burned out from electric guitar? And if so, how do you combat that? I do. I get burned out from everything. If I just played acoustic, I would get burned out from that too. I think it's I think it's just a question of varying things up. I mean, to be honest, I'm a little burned out with making YouTube videos at the moment, just because it's all I've done for a year and a half, and I want to go on tour. So, you know, I want to play out and get on stage and play music in front of people and play with a drummer and do all that stuff. So I think it's just a variety thing, you know. For me, you know, if, like I say, I've done a lot of the Van Halen thing recently, which I love, you know, it's like in my DNA. I love it. But I really am looking forward to making some clean delay videos coming up, because I just need to get away from the sound for a second and do something else, you know. I looked at my blue Strat the other day. I was sitting on the couch at home. It's a you know, beautiful Lake Placid blue with a Sir that I got a new neck for, and I love that guitar. And I was sitting there, and I thought maybe I should make a record with that guitar, only that guitar, and call it the Blue Strat or the Blue S or something, you know, just because it's like something different, you know. Like, let's play clean and just dial in a sound with that guitar and come up with a rig and write 8 tunes or something, or 10 tunes, and do a theme. And then I would be bored of that too, you know. So I guess that's just how we are, you know. We just need a little variety every now and then. What do you think of the Thornbuckers in an R8? I think they're great in the Les Paul. We tested them in an R9. My R9 was like a test bed guitar, and it still has the original set that we came up with back then, like a prototype set of the original Thornbuckers. And they've lived in that guitar ever since, which is going on probably 8 years or something now. So 7 years. Yeah. Bought the Pod Go after watching your review. Great work. Do you make patches? I don't right now, but I should, and something I've threatened to do for a long time is make Helix and Pod patches and put them in the Helix marketplace, you know. So just another thing that I should be doing. Would the Sir SSH Plus and SSV combo be good for covering clean to hard rock? I mean, yeah, the SSH Plus I quite like, actually. It's real hot, but it sure is fun. You know, it's got a great, like I played it in John's guitar I was mentioning earlier in the stream. His signature guitar is an SSH Plus in the bridge. And it's like, this sure is fun. Like, it's hot, it sustains, it's easy to play, it's fun. So really fun. What else? Let's see. When is the Evh Pickup Shootout? So it's uploaded. I just did it while we were here talking, and I'm going to put it out today at 3 p.m. Pacific. So I'm going to go, after we're done here, I'm going to go get a little bit of lunch in just about half an hour here, and then I'm going to have it set to go live and everything like that. And if you've got time, come back and watch it later on today, or any time when you've got time, because it's friggin' long. So you don't have to watch it all in one sitting. You know. Yep. So today at 3 p.m. Pacific, coming out. Gonna get it out in the world. Move on to other stuff. What else? Loving your wiring on a guitar I built with custom pickups I wound. Any hidden? That's cool. You wound your own pickups. That's neat. That's beyond what probably just about all of us have done here. Any hidden gem combination use? I use the tapped 2 single thing a lot. And I use the middle a lot with Thornbuckers. It sounds great. So, you know, mainly I'm a bridge guy, but I'll use neck pickups sometimes for solos and stuff. Or for rhythm tones, you know, yeah, the 2 pickups together, or the 2 pickups tapped. 2 pickups together humbucking, 2 pickups together tapped is settings that I tend to use quite a bit, I would say. Well, that's a great thoughts on Wolf's album. Great. It's fun, man. What a great hard rock record. The first tune, the Mr. Ed tune, is like, yes, that was a badass rock song. And you know, I'm just really happy for him. His record's out. He's got a, you know, went to #1 like on iTunes, and just like, you know, and he seems like really happy, and it's great, you know. So rooting for that dude, of course. So he's making rock music, and it's, you know, when's the last time you saw a #1 record on the streaming platform? Rock, right? Killer. Listen to that Mr. Ed tune if you haven't heard it. Go, everybody, check it out after. Don't leave my stream right now, but check it out after. Really good. What are my thoughts about 24 3/4 neck on a Strat? Certainly worked for Jake E. Lee. It's a great sound, and I am intrigued about scale length more than ever. I mean, the Eddie Van Halen thing. part of the sound, you know, what you're going to hear in the pickup video is one of the things you're going to, if you watch it, that revelations I made is that this is a lot more than just pickups. You know, the sound of his tone and the songs that he played the Destroyer on, the Destroyer and the 24 3/4 and the set neck and all that is a big part of the sound. So we got to stop talking about one guitar when we're talking about early Van Halen and talk about two guitars, because it really is two guitars. And when you can't unhear it once you realize, like, I've never really thought about it or paid that much attention, but now I know that, you know, On Fire is a Gibson scale length guitar. That's Gibson construction, essentially. You know, Jamie's crying, you know, you really got me. So one of the most interesting things in the video, it comes within the first 10 or 15 minutes, which is You Really Got Me on the Destroyer with a few different pickups. And it's night and day. And not only that, when you hear later on in the video, I play You Really Got Me on the Strat type guitar, and it doesn't really sound right on that guitar. A lot of other things do, but not that song. And you're going to go like, oh, that's the easiest one to hear the scale length difference. You'll hear the scale length, me playing that riff, 24 3/4, more than even just pickup swaps or anything. The two different styles of guitars with that song. And you, oh God, yeah, it's like that. Oh, that's a thing. Like you on a Strat, it's just more twangy. You know, Strats have the twangy scale length. So intermittent fasting says listening to Mr. Ed now. Yeah, I guess you can put it on while we're you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Put it on iTunes or something while you're here, you know. But Brian says, I searched for Wolf. Who are you talking about? He's talking about Wolf Van Halen, who has a new record out that just came out 2 days ago. It's great. Killer. Rock music. Remember rock? Good stuff. Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting one. I looked up Moonshadow Performance. It's a great song for an upcoming gig, and saw you with Mandy Moore from 2003. That's true. There's a few videos of me playing Moonshadow with Mandy Moore from 2003. She was great on it, right? Like she was 19, I think, when we did it, and she was already like, she wasn't teen pop anymore, you know. And when you hear her sing it, she sang it beautifully, right? I mean, like I watched them recently too because I hadn't seen it in years, and it was a great band that we had, and I remember that was a really fun time. That there was about a 6-month period where I did gigs with her and went to the Philippines, and it was coming out of doing a record with the band 40 Foot Echo, and I'd been, you know, that was like hard touring, and we tried to break this record, and it sort of broke in Canada, and we had a top 10 hit up there, but then the US label, just the support faltered, and it was like, you know, and it just didn't. And then my friend John Fields called me, great record producer, and said, hey, I'm doing this thing with Mandy Moore, and we're going to go to the Philippines, and I'm going to play in the band. You want to go? He's like, it's good money, first class flight to the Philippines. I was like, I'm in. Let's go. And she was a pleasure. Her manager was hilarious. He was a great guy. The whole band was great. We went and had this fun week in the Philippines, and then we came back and did a bunch of US TV and some one-offs in the US and stuff like that. Some, you know, TV performances. So anyway, you'll see like a live at AOL sessions or something, and a couple late night TV things where we played that song, because that was a single, I think, off her record. And yeah, it was fun. You know, I was playing my little Taylor 312 acoustic or whatever. Good times. I think about how long ago that is. It's 18 years ago. What the fuck? God. What happened to the time? Anyways. Yeah. Prince Westerberg says, shorter scale length affects the string tension. That's true. Makes it easier to play. It's a little bit spongier on the tension, but it also affects the attack. It's a softer kind of attack that is part of the sound, whereas the longer 25.5 gives you that more taut twang to the sound, and it's part of the sound, you know. I guess the person was originally asking about scale length and how it would affect I mean, the Jaguar is a really interesting guitar to me. Maybe Johnny Marr is the #1 Jaguar guy, you know, and I love Johnny Marr, and I kind of would like a Johnny Marr Strat, to be honest. Come to think of it, I do that one of these days. But I love Johnny Marr's tones and parts. He's such a creative guitar player, and the stuff he comes up with is so cool. I mean, he seems like a really cool dude too. I'd love to meet him, but you know, Morrissey I could do without, but Johnny Marr, really cool. Such a cool dude. Anyways, that sound is a different sound, the Jaguar sound, you know. It's not, you know, it's interesting. So I guess, you know, we could say Kurt Cobain played Jaguars too, periodically with humbuckers in them and stuff. So at that point, you've almost got a Gibson. What types of caps do you use? Like in my guitars, you know, I'm not really a cap guy because I leave the tone pots on 10 most of the time. I'm not even a tone pot guy. Pretty rare I roll them down. Occasionally roll them down a little bit. Okay, on a Strat where I've got the tone control on the bridge, that I roll them down a little bit, where I'll roll down to 7 and just warm it up a bit, but not enough to know like, oh, this tone cap. It's not something I've ever gone into. Maybe somebody can enlighten me, you know, with, you know, the tone caps and prove it to me or something. But I just, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like cables, like brass ends versus this type of, you know. God, there's one more thing to think about, you know. Oh, brother. This is interesting. I have a Thornbucker and Thornbucker Plus in less polished Mockingbird with a Floyd. Interesting. I'd like to see that guitar. Is it excuse me, an actual BC Rich, or is it some sort of repro? I wonder. How do you approach song structure for an instrumental album? That's a great question. Do you think in terms of verse and choruses? I do, yeah. I approach it like you're the lead singer on the guitar, you know, so to pace yourself and approach it like a lead vocal and think in terms of regular song structure. That's how I write my songs, really, you know, for sure. Yeah. Braxall. Oh, yeah. An older man made a video about the Friedman JJ Jr. about a week or so ago and showed the inside of the amp, said it was poorly made, and sent it back. What was the deal with that? You know, I want to tread lightly because I feel like I don't want to. I'm not in the interest of I really don't like the, like, okay, I'm going to kind of contradict. I feel like that fella, I don't like the YouTube thing where people fight, you know, where they make a video in order to call someone else out, and it turns into this thing. I actively avoid that, you know. But okay, I'll just say, like, a criticism about that video. Besides, I mean, I'm holding my tongue here. I'm biting my tongue. But one of the main things, let's just go to when he was talking about the tubes, Chinese preamp tubes, ARS. What's that? You know. And I sound like I'm mocking because I am almost a little bit. It's like, dude, if you've opened up an amp that was made in Los Angeles in the last 20 years, you would have seen ARS tubes, and you'd know ARS is a old, from way back, tube electronics distribution house that basically buys from JJ or EH or, you know, the Chinese tubes, and then they test and rebrand and sell them with the ARS logo. That's a thing that Sir Bogner Friedman, you know, the ARS they're a place that you buy electronics parts from in LA. They're in the Valley. I've been there. It's like a guy, I mean, we were talking about it the other day. It's like a fella's father still works in there. Somebody's like 80 something, you know, and then the son took over, I think, and you know, it's been there forever. So if, you know, ARS has been selling tubes and electronic parts forever. So they saw the, you know, somebody let me know if the audio just cut out because a call came in. You guys still got audio for me? Just somebody let me know in the comments before I continue. Sometimes, you know, when a call came in before, it cut off my audio. So you can still hear me? Back on. It's back. It cut out. Okay, back on. Good. All right, cool. Good. So anyways, he says, what are these Chinese tubes from, you know? It's like, dude, he got a PT-15 a number of years, or like 2 years ago when it came out, and he did a similar review where he looked at it, but I don't think he mentioned the Chinese tubes in that review, because my amp had them too. We all know the Chinese, you know, 9th gen or whatever they call them, 12AX7, you know, the It's the tube company. I can't remember what they are right now, but the Chinese tube that a lot of high gain amp users use and like, you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with. It's the factory that's offline right now that supposedly they're rebooting and rebuilding and stuff and getting back up. These are good tubes, you know, and they're great tubes in a high gain amp because they have a certain sound. They sound, you know, for a modern tube, they sound really good, better than, you know, for example, the JJ, you know, the standard ECC 83 or whatever, which is dark and like a wet blanket, you know, in a lot of amps. I digress, but the E83cc is a good tube from JJ. Anyways, the guy mentions these Chinese tubes as though it's a bad thing and says, like, what are these? These will be going if I keep the amp. Like, I'm not going to keep these in here. And it's like, right there, I was like, he's just trying to create controversy over nothing, because these tubes have been used in it. If you've played a, you know, a Bogner or a Friedman or a probably, you know, Marshalls over the past 20, I mean, how many tubes, how many amps have come with those Chinese 12AX7s in the past? It's just like they're in every amp. So right there, you got to look at it and go, is this guy credible? Because it's like he's making this video and calling out these tubes that have been a mainstay, a staple in amplifiers for the last 20 years. And he's talking about it like Friedman cheaped out and you know, use this to, what is this in an amp that costs this much? It's like, dude, they're one of the only 12AX7s available, first of all, out there, you know, that is halfway decent and actually sound good and test, you know, and are low noise and high gain and all that good stuff. You know, you could use JJs across the board in one of those amps and it would sound much darker and like lacking, you know. What else are you going to use? A WA, a WB from Sovtech? I mean, this is not news, right? So I found the video, you know, in the title, he says the worst amp I've ever bought, you know, and then he gives it, I think, an 8 out of 10 at the end of the, and, you know, he's going through and poking at things and talking about electronics components. And it just appears to me like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to create controversy because, like I said, I actively avoid it, but Dave is my friend and it's bullshit. So I'll just go there and there and created the controversy. You know, it's like, dude, you don't know anything from what you're, you know, from what you're talking about. You're not an amp tech. You don't really know what you're talking about, because let's just stop right at the preamp tubes thing and just don't, you know, these videos with these titles, the worst amp ever bought, JJ Jr. This affects manufacturers, and just to get clicks and likes, you know, if you come after one of my friends, I'm going to call you out. You can't do that, you know? It's just not okay, you know, to make YouTube videos that are clickbait for no other reason than to just stir up and not even play the amp in the video. Because even in the video, he says, like, the amp sounds, it plays good, he says. I remember, you know, oh, it's got a good play. It plays good, like whatever that means, you know? It's like, no, you know, you're poking through the thing and talking about it. And some of the comments are like, thanks for exposing the truth, man, like all this stuff down below. And it's just in this age of disinformation crap. It's like, dude, you're not a tech. Ooh, I'm mad about it, to be honest. But, you know, it's just like, you know, come on, man. Like, you don't know who ARS is. You don't know the Chinese 12AX7. So, right, that's the first right out of the beginning, you know. He picked out the use of silicone on caps and circuit board. Exactly. It's like, it doesn't, like, so what? It has nothing to do with, you know, and, you know, Dave's one of my best friends, you know, and, you know, to call him out on his, it's just like, yeah. What sucks too is the uneducated people like that are the ones that will get millions of views and create a ton more uneducated negative people. Exactly. And there's already kind of a huge pocket of folks out there that, like, the questions that come in from tube amps used to be what all of us used, right? I mean, it was like, that's kind of all there was, and solid state was poo-pooed in the 80s, you know, certainly 70s, 80s, you know, and so everybody used tube amps. So everybody had a little more knowledge about things like, you know, well, can I use a 16 ohm cabinet with an 8 ohm output on my amp? Is that safe? For these kinds of questions. Or do I need to rebias when I, you know, when I get a new set of tubes? Well, it depends if it's, you know, a cathode bias or, you know, that it's like these kinds of things used to be more common knowledge, and now they're not. And that's what, when I will always say here, if you ask me a question, I will say, I am not a tech, but I think this, you know, I'll qualify when I've got an opinion, like I'm not exactly sure, you know, or you should ask, that's a question for somebody like Dave, or a question for, because I will never tell you something if I don't actually know the answer. If I'm just like, somebody was asking about this distortion pedal from CKK, I guess I could say, oh yeah, I tried it, it was great for heavy tones. Bullshit, I never tried it. So I just say, I'm not familiar with that one. You guys know I do that. So to poke through something and look at the components and call out tubes, which are so commonplace in high gain amps and are actually a really good, if you know high gain amps and you know tubes, you know that Chinese 12X7, if they're tested in low noise and high gain, it's a damn good tube, one of the best ones you can get in this day and age. What are the other options? You tell me. There ain't, that work in a cathode follower, you know, and that don't fail and that aren't microphonic as hell. There's no options. So to say that is just like, but if you're not an educated person about tube amps at all, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying if you were to watch that video, you'd be like, well, I'm going to watch this guy because he sounds like he really knows what he's talking about, you know? And that just, I got to call it out. I don't like videos for click, like I'm okay. I put clickbait titles sometimes, but it's always trying to be a fun thing. Massive pickup shootout, or, you know, like high gain distortion, you know, amp distortion's the best distortion. Sure, I'll do those kinds of videos because I feel like I actually think that, and I want people to get excited about it and go, why is that? And then watch. But the worst amp I ever played, and then go through and make up a bunch of shit about it, and then say it's an 8 out of 10 and actually sounds good at the end. It's just like, sorry, dude, I got a problem with that. Now it's out there and he's going to hate me. But I just got to say, I just don't like that crap, man. I don't like it. You called out one of my friends, you know, and it's like trying to make it sound like they're trying to pull the wool over people's eyes and make them waste their money. I mean, give me a break, you know. It pisses me off. So thank you. Just want to support a credible, trustworthy gear reviewer. That hack you're talking about is the worst. I don't want to be mean to him, and I appreciate, thanks Eric for the super, I really hate the controversy, like when the two YouTubers go at it and stuff like that. And I haven't done that, but I guess when it gets personal with a friend of mine and stuff, it's just like, that's not fair, you know. It's not fair, and it's not cool, you know. It's slander, it's libel, you know, for no reason. And it can really have an effect on a product. And I'm well aware of that these days. And I try and, you know, I mean, we have, you know, I'm not a massive YouTube channel, but I do have 220,000 subscribers. And I recognize that if I was to make a video like that and come out and say, this thing sucks, that it could have a massive effect actually on the direction of a product, you know, and on the success of a product, you know. And if I just did it for views and stuff, I know it would be big, you know. If I was like, the worst 5 amps I've ever used, or if I went down that negative road, it's just, it plays on that. It's like it would be huge, and it would be awful, you know, because it would be not positive, and it would just be, you know, just not cool, you know. Eric says you're backing up outrage with actual facts, and that's the difference. Your outrage is justified. Well, I just, you know, it's not fair, you know, because people think it's right. Like, it's crazy, right? And I guess I just, you know, in the world we live in these days and stuff, it's maddening to me. It takes up a lot of my mental space and energy, like the you know, like how somebody can say something that other people believe, you know. I mean, you know, I'll just say we live in this age where this week in Ohio, there's, you know, but I think it was in Ohio, there's a bunch of people sitting around in a hearing, you know, with, you know, a woman's got a fork and she's like trying to stick it to her forehead and saying, why do vaccines make me magnetized? You know, this is the age we live in, right? And so we're just talking about the guitar amp world of that. And it's like, I can't, man, because it's like, you know, it's like, I'm sorry, but like, you know, we've got a rover and a helicopter flying on the moon, right, or on the moon, on Mars right now, you know. And it's like, that's the folks that, you know, let's just go with the truth, and the people that figured out how to put two vehicles on the moon, on Mars, and fly a helicopter in the, you know, in the atmosphere of Mars, which has 1% the density of Earth, and they figured out how to get enough lift and make that thing go up 30 feet in the air or whatever, you know. And it's just like, I've always just been I'm a man of science and truth. So it upsets me, you know, it upsets me. It does. I gotta say, you know. Anyways, and everybody else knows too. Byron says that the thing is, you know Dave and his dedication to quality. And Dave, if you email him, you know, or you were to call, he will answer the phone. And he's got one of the biggest amp companies, most respected amp companies in the world right now. And you can still send that guy an email and he'll hit you back. And if you've got a problem, he's doing the tech support. And I'm telling you, because I see him all the time, it's like, it's sometimes frustrating and maddening for him, but he knows that if you want it done right, you've got to do it yourself. And he gives you the support. You know, he will tell you what's up. You know, the fellow that is having the problem with the tubes with the JJ earlier and said they were red plating, or sorry, he was blowing fuses. You will get a response, and it will be from Dave, which is amazing because he's, you know, he's a worldwide, you know, he's shipping amps all over the place, you know. So it's I don't know, you know, it just bothers me, you know. This is, it's the same thing with Sir, and the same thing, you know, these guys really care, you know, and they really care. And it's just, if people are going to do things that aren't fair, I got to call it out, I guess. And there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. So I'd love to have a conversation with that guy about what he's thinking and stuff. And maybe we could do a YouTube video together and talk about this, have a man-to-man, you know, that would be productive, I think. But, you know, I just, yeah. Anyways, James says, good man, Pete. Important to take a stand against that kind of guff. Misinforming people is easy and unethical. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. It is. It's unethical, you know, and it used to be, you know, I mean, libel, you know, slander, that's a thing, you know, and there used to be more checks and balances. Now I feel it's just kind of off the rails, you know, a little bit. And anyways, whatever, right? Okay, let's move on. I guess I should go soon. It's 1:36. I'll go another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to get ready to put the video out. Maybe go grab some lunch before the video comes out. Brian says your clickbait is educational. Thanks. You know, many times, you guys know, I mean, flat out, my videos, I make them for companies, for pedals. It's marketing, you know, that's what it is, you know. But somebody said to me, oh, it wasn't to me personally, I remember it was a quote I saw somewhere recently where somebody said, good marketing is one part educational, one part entertaining, and one part sales, something like that, you know. That was the quote. But I remember the part about, I'm sorry, I'm screwing up the quote, but about it being educational and about it being entertaining. That's what I try and do in my videos. I thought, that's it. That's exactly what I try and do. Always, like, you know, show something that's, you know, so the user can take something away from a video or garner something that is hopefully useful to them, like a piece of knowledge outside of a pedal or whatever, you know, way to use the pedal, like a, oh, that's cool, like if I set the tap like this, it's useful in this context or whatever, something like that, you know. Always try and do that. You know, and if there is a clickbaity title, it's because I'm trying to get folks to watch something that I think is interesting too, you know, that isn't negative and you know, clickbait driven BS, you know, just stuff, you know. Eric says Pete is channeling a Chris Cornell rant about stupid people. Well, Chris was you know, that dude lived in reality, that's for sure. You know, he was that's part of why we really saw eye to eye on things a lot, is because he was a really intelligent guy. I'm not saying I'm super intelligent, but I'm saying Chris was you know, we both share a you know, a drive for the truth and for being interested in science and in, you know, how things work. Like Chris was really interested in the nuts and bolts of, like, you know, like recording, or, you know, he wanted to know, you know, he didn't want to just go in and track a guitar part or vocal. He wanted to know the chain of how the compressor worked, the preamp, you know, how he could make things. He was very interested in hands-on and things. And I'm like that too. And just a no BS kind of approach, you know. He like really wanted to know, like, why something sounds a certain way, how I can replicate that, and how I can make it better maybe. And, you know, so he definitely had that. We used to geek out all the time on, like, you know, like recording stuff, or, you know, drum software, or like, you know, things, how to make things sound better and cool. And he was really always interested. So it was fun, you know. Yeah. Let's see here. Tend to agree with some reviewers' policy. If they think it sucks, they don't review it. Sometimes when there's a big push, I mean, sometimes people do it in a way that I guess is good, where they call things out and maybe it's true, but nonetheless, it is hard. It's a fine line, you know. I mean, Glenn Fricker, I like that guy, and he tends to do it in a way that's not. I guess I just saw his videos as being different. Like he'll rail on things if they're really not to his liking, but I feel like it's more honest or something. Like not in just a way to like generate. Like he's a pretty knowledgeable guy, you know, and like he's got a different approach, and it's so much different than mine. But I have to say, I didn't find it offended me, you know, like when he would, I don't know, it's just like a different thing. And I've met him, and he's a nice guy, and he's a smart guy, and you know, he's an interesting guy. He worked for Ford for many years, and I think maybe still does in some capacity. But he had this, you know, he's like a blue collar kind of guy, like hardworking guy. But he had this talent for video, and also dug music and doing music and stuff. And so he, you know, made a go at it. And so there's a thing about the way that he did it that you know, feel button says I dig his fearless gear reviews. You know. Yeah, there's something about him that's very not, you know, he doesn't strike me as bullshit at all, you know, Glenn, I have to say, you know. So, anyways, well, this has turned into an interesting discussion. John says, I had an issue with my BE100 Deluxe, and Dave spent the better part of a Sunday walking me through the troubleshooting and then followed through and made it right very quickly. Great guy. He really is a great guy, and he really cares, you know. He's got a lot of heart, and he really does care. So, he really cares, you know. Let's see. Out of all the amps, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Out of all the amps you've traded off or sold, which one do you wish you'd kept the most? Out of amps, you know, I've kept a lot of amps, so it's interesting because there's not a lot that I've sold, to be honest. My Top Hat King Royale is one that was really good, but I feel like I got one now. I got another one, the head up there. So, but you know, the combo was cool to have, and I was always like, why did I sell that? It was a great sound, and so that was probably one that, but not super rare or hard to find. You can find them and stuff. More guitars that it was my 59 J50 acoustic and my 54 Les Paul that I sold that I'll never probably, you know, certainly not for the same price. You know, and they were really good, and it was dumb. I never should have got rid of them. Legendary Tone says only the JJ or Chinese will hold up in the cathode follower. That's correct. I mean, a WA, I think, maybe, but there's certain, like the tongue sole won't. The long plate won't, you know, from Self-Tech. There's many that won't. That's why these are the two brands of choice. Exactly. There's nothing else you can use there, and that's where right away I was like, this is insane. Like, guy's talking about it like this is like these are crap and he's going to replace them with what, like NOS, you know, what should a new manufacturer offer, you know? So it's just not cool, man, you know. It's not cool to slander products for there's nothing wrong with, you know, the amps are built just fine, you know. They're no different. I mean, you open up modern anything and look at it, you know, and it's like, you know, I don't know. Anyways, good. Oh, I think I already highlighted that one, but thanks again, James. Appreciate that. Okay, it's 1:43. A few more minutes, a couple more questions here. I'm going to split and get the video up. I'm ready to go, the pickup video. And hopefully some of you guys will join in the chat for the video. That'll be fun. I don't know if you've got time today. You know? Yeah. Amy Man is a nice J50. I like Amy Man. Wise Up. I love that tune. One of my favorite songs. Do I have a Dumble story? Not really. I haven't played a hell of a lot of them. There was one in Japan I played that they had in a store in the Hoochie's Cruise Music store over there in Shibuya, and he had a nice combo that I plugged into. I remember it was a hot as hell summer day, and I was in shorts, and I think I took a video and I put it up on YouTube, or on maybe not on YouTube, on Instagram. But anyway, that amp sounded really good. It was a cool Dumble, but I haven't actually played a ton of them. You know, maybe 3, something like that. Do you ever bypass the tone pot when wiring pickups if you don't use it? Did EVH have any odd pickup wires? I don't think he did. I mean, it was just he wired the pickup to the pot, you know, hot to the appropriate place, etc. So I don't generally bypass the tone pot. I did it in my 335. I did that for a little bit. You're right, because it's dark. The neck pickup on my 335, it's a PAF and it's rather dark sounding. And I just decided at one point that I would, you know, bypass it and and it didn't really help that much. And now it's connected, and I just live with the tone of the guitar. It's okay. At some point, I thought, it'd be nice to replace the neck pickup, even though it's a real old PAF. Replace it with a Thornbucker neck and see what that sounds like. The bridge pickup is awesome in my 335. It's a, the sound of that guitar if you see my videos and you use it like a rock machine. It's a low wind, patent number humbucker in the neck. In the bridge, and it sounds great. I don't know what it is with the neck. It just sounds a little on the dark side. On the dark side. Isn't that a song? What's this? My Ace Cab emulator makes a lot of hiss sizzle noise. Not sure if that's normal. It shouldn't. Probably a ground thing. Is there a ground lift on it? Hiss. Shouldn't be any hiss. You might want to hit up cs@sir.com and just ask them, if they can help you with that. Could be a ground thing. Sizzle. Sounds like ground, ground lift of some sort. Pete, let's hit the Sweetwater link and see you at 3 p.m. for the next killer show. Thank you, Peter Evans. Yeah, I've got my Sweetwater link if you need to buy a... Oh, I don't even have anything here. Well, here's a box. Here's a bunch of guitar picks in here. Sweetwater will have those. If you need guitar picks or you need a Samson G-Track Pro microphone, they'll have one of these. You can hit that Sweetwater link, and it's my affiliate link in the video description below. Please hit the thumbs up as well if you don't mind. That way it spreads this video where I'm ranting and raving far and wide. Could you use a higher pot value, 530K on the neck? Yes, and that would be something I could explore, but I've got original pots in my 335, so I've never wanted to tear the whole harness out and explore it. You're right. I mean, the pot could be just rated low, could be like, 400K or something. Could be an oddball or something not working right, and that could be the issue with the neck pickup. But I could replace, like I said, I had a tech disconnect the tone pot at one point, and it was somewhat helpful. Reza says you should review the JJ Jr. He's up there in the super chat to counterbalance the video. No, seriously, I would love to hear you play it. It's been on my wish list for a while. I don't generally do amp reviews just because I've got my signature amp line and stuff. So every now and then I do one, but I had thought that, I thought about this, and then you asked, it organically happened. Somebody asked me the question, and then it came out when I thought about the whole thing. And it's like, I had thought about making a YouTube video where I actually this isn't fair and I need to call this out and stuff like that. And then it just happened on the show here today. So there's that. But, I don't know. I mean, it would actually be more interesting to do a video with Dave where we just go through the construction of the amplifier and he talks about it. I think because everybody, the JJ Jr. is a good sounding little high gain, fire breathing little monster of a little amp. It's people really like him, and Jerry likes it. So there you go. So, anyways, anyways, that would be an interesting video. I think it's just kind of a counter to the whole thing. Just kind of in general as well. Just like, hey, let's talk about amp construction and let's talk about but then it also lends, people are going to want to go check out the other video because it lends some sort of and then you sort of defeat, now you're just feeling right? So maybe it's just best to just whatever. Don't even watch the video. It's made me angry. That's for sure. Now I've made a hater. I don't mean to. It's not personal. I'm just saying, it's not personal. It's just like, I would do this face to face, if it was like somebody talking to a friend that dissed an amp and then was like saying, oh, don't buy it because of that. And I'd go, hey man, why'd you say that? If it was just one-on-one, I would say the same thing. That's not true, All right, you guys, I guess I better go. I've got 573 people online now. You guys are here. You want to talk about guitars for another few minutes? I guess I can go until, go another 10 minutes or something like that because you folks are here. And, why go? Why go? Have you ever played an EVH Wolfgang Custom with the 24 and 7.5 scale length, hardtail, and Gibson knob? I have one. I actually have one. And it's here. It's upstairs. Yeah. Is it upstairs or is it? I'm trying to remember. Oh no, it's just in the other room. I have a black one, And after tour at one point, it came back and it went into storage, and then it just stayed there with some of my other guitars. So you've never actually seen it. Is in some of my YouTube videos from a long time ago. I mean, I got the guitar in maybe 2014, something like that, 2013, 2014. And so, yes, I have played it. It's a cool guitar. Kind of a, high-tech take on a, it's got the adjustable thumb screw style tailpiece on it, like you would see on a Floyd, like B.B. King had on his guitar, one of those style tailpieces. And it's kind of like a modernized Les Paul, really. Pretty cool guitar. I need to bust it out again and spend a little bit of time with it, but kind of a neat guitar. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Are you still using your Quad Cortex? It's sitting right here. I haven't used it for a little while, but it's just because I've been doing other work, or I've been, using the real amps and stuff like that. And I'm a fan of the Quad Cortex. I think it's a great unit, and I will use it more, going forward. Have you tried the new Friedman BE Mini 30 watt? I haven't, actually. I haven't actually heard it, but I've heard it on the, videos and stuff like that people have done. Yeah. Are you guys like fighting? Don't fight in my chat. Carp DM and someone else is fighting. Be nice. Do you have any siblings? I do. I have an older sister. Yeah. Who still lives in Canada. Yeah, I do. Eric Johnson says, I'm looking for a Mesa Mark II Plus in a box set. It's funny you mentioned that. There's this guy that makes, it's a Russian name, starts with M. Do you guys know the guy I'm talking about? He makes preamps, and he makes a kind of a copy of the 3 Plus and a copy of a Marshall. He calls it the Super Lead preamp. It's got a purple face, I think, on it. And you guys know that maybe somebody's going to know what I'm talking about and put it down at the bottom of the chat. But anyway, I saw he's got a 2C preamp. It's just like one channel. That must be the one that everybody likes or whatever in a 2C. So maybe seek that out. Somebody say the name of this company, because somebody's going to know what I'm talking about. This guy in Russia that makes the preamps that are takeoffs on. I have mixed feelings about it because they're kind of direct knockoffs, I think, of like a 3 Plus, and so it's kind of like, it's a little but I don't know, And he makes a 2C, so maybe that's an option. You're saying an all in the box kind of 2C thing. Just dug out my 72 Marshall Super Bass head. It's completely mint, less than 10 hours use. What? 10 hours use since new? Wow, that's amazing. So you got like a Time Machine 72 Marshall Super Bass? Send it to Dave and have him recap it and just go through it. You got to bring up the voltages slow with a Variac, and then look at it and kind of you can recap, and it'll be good as new. It is new. Yeah. Are amps falling to plugins, IRs, and the like? No, I mean, there's always going to be a market for tube amps, always, I think. But it's just, kind of more, it's like music. It's gotten more compartmentalized, more diverse. Now, some people are using the plugins and stuff like that. Some people are using modelers, but there'll always be tube amp people, I think. So, yeah. Did I miss any super chats? There's one there. Yep, this one. With the Revival Drive Custom, if you're going direct to the interface, is there any benefit to the extra EQ section? We didn't even talk about the video I did today for the Origin effects. If anybody's got any questions about using them as preamps, here's one now. The extra EQ section switches, or do they have more use if you're going into an amp? So on a Revival Drive, I had them in here. Where are they? Let's see. You guys know this is the original big pedal. Basically what you've got here is 2 sections, one emulating a tube rectified amp and one emulating a solid state rectified amp, and sort of in the JTM 45 vein. These controls down here control voicing for a couple different things. Number one, you're able to use this pedal into either a flat power amp or tube power amp, into direct as a recording preamp, basically straight out. You just need to add some speaker simulation because it doesn't have that. Or you can run into the front of an amp and use it like a guitar pedal. And these things control that. They allow you to voice the pedal for whatever you're plugging into. And sort of, you know, whatever your application is, once you have those settings set, you're probably not going to change them. So for example, you got a bright cap here, a setting that is sort of more Fendery, more Marshally, or off, I think. Then you've got a voicing for the preamp, a setting that is more Fendery, like into a Fender clean, if you're running into a more Marshall style front end, or neutral, kind of darker. And then you've got a couple of controls here that allow you to set up for running into, oh, I digress, sorry, I screwed up. This one is to kind of revoice the preamp for like sort of like more or less gain, Marshally gain, Fendery gain, that kind of thing. This is the reamp that lets you run into either a Fender front end, a Marshall front end, or a flat power amp, or use it as a recording preamp. And then this is a bright cap, switchable bright cap, like you would find on a Bogner Ecstasy or something, right? And then you've got a couple controls here once you're in the what they call the reamp EQ, depending on what you're plugging into. These sort of shape the top end and allow you to kind of tame the bright cap a little bit and also filter some highs if you find it's like too searingly bright or something like that. So that's what that stuff is. And then this stuff here is like a mid-range boost sort of that you can foot switch. And so that's like another thing on this pedal. It's the kitchen sink. There's a lot of voicing options. Oh, I don't even have it on screen. Nice one, Thorn. But anyways, that's what's going on right here. And then back here are some dip switches that also are for what you're plugging into. Now, I think that this pedal's awesome and it does a lot and sounds great, but I think even they realize that this was pretty complicated. So this is the kitchen sink for folks that, you know, want to be able to do all that stuff. This is, for example, a much simpler version that they offer now. This is the hot rod, or sorry, RD Compact, Revival Drive Compact hot rod. So this is like a hot rodded version of that pedal, more high gain, think more Van Halen or something. And all it gives you is this three-way switch in this pot right here. So this is basically to voice the pedal to go into a power amp, into a Marshall, or into a Fender. That's layman speak right there. And then this allows you to kind of tailor this control here, sort of as a contour knob that tailors that. Much simpler, right? It's just much easier, and the pedal's smaller and does a lot. Sounds great. So I put out a video, it was on Monday, of these pedals, and you can hear me using these as preamps into my power amp, into my power station from Fryette, just running them right into the power station into a cab with no guitar amp involved, and also running them direct into my recording interface and using them as kind of the guitar amp, the preamp that voices the sound, and then running into IRs, right? So that's what's going on with these. And I forgot the original question. Is there any benefit to the extra EQ session switches? Well, on the original one, you've got a lot of range and a lot of ability there to plug into just about whatever you want. And this one is a little more limited, you know, when it comes to that. There's just a little bit more, you know, ability to tweak on that one. That's the easiest way to describe it. I don't know. And the one thing the big one gives you as well is the ghost notes control, which I show in the video. And this one doesn't have that. Although I hear they have a small version now that does have the ghost notes thing. So it's a lot of options, but that's not my fault. That's what Origin did. By the way, the Revival Trem, which kind of does the brown Fender Deluxe sounds as far as amp, it's a really great sounding pedal too, and maybe my favorite out of all of them actually. And it sounds really organic and lovely, and you can boost it with other pedals in front, and it's only 3 knobs. It's just like the easiest thing in the world. So anyways, I hope that helped with your question. I know it's complicated. It's tough. These are you hear me on the fly try and come up with these explanations on the live stream, and these are things when I make a YouTube video where I'll have my spiel more dialed in. Like generally what I do when I make a YouTube video is I turn on the camera and I start talking like I just did, and then it sounds like that, and then it's like that's way too convoluted, and then I'll start again and start again and start again, and then I get much more distilled down into something that makes sense. So bear with me is all I'm saying. Please. James Bell says, do you ever massively simplify your rig for a change? Plug straight in, no board, single pickup Esquire. Yeah, I mean, I've done gigs where I've had to, just out of necessity, only bring like a little board and a classic 30 or something, you know, or not a classic 30. What's a PV amp? A Badger 30. You know, if you see if you watch the videos of that where I'm playing with Sebastian Bach and Steve Stevens at the Iridium in New York, for example, I've got a Badger 30 and a 412 cab, and I'm using a little pedal board that's like yay big, you know, and got a few pedals on it, and that's it. You know, what are some other examples? I've done some like one-offs and stuff with Melissa Etheridge where I just had that same little board and a Badger. So that happens, you know, for sure, where I got to do a simple rig and it's cool, you know. Yeah, just depends. What else? Let's see. 507 people online. Missed my chats twice, says John. John, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back and try and find your comment. Let's see. John, ask me one more time in the bottom, and I'll hit you right now, I promise. Sorry. Yeah. Where's the most interesting place you've seen one of your products end up? Well, that's a good question. I mean, it was, you know, when I did my clinic tour right before the pandemic, I was in like Thailand, and it was amazing to see a PT15 IR over there, you know, and one of my signature guitars. Sorry, not Thailand. Thailand was cool too, but Taiwan, just the music store and where I saw it there, it was just really interesting. I don't know why. It was like, I guess it was interesting Thailand too, but it was like, you know, there's something about when you go certain places, far-flung places, you're like, wow, they've got a really, I don't know, it's just really like places you haven't been. Then you're like, well, look at this collection of Surs they have here, is amazing, you know. And you might think, oh, they wouldn't have as many there, but they do, you know. There's guitar nuts everywhere in this world, and it's awesome, you know. I'd really love one of these days to go to China and see what because I know there's guitar nerds over there, hardcore, like some of the shops and the big trade show they have over there. I'd love to see that, you know, and see like what's that like, you know. It'd be interesting. Scott says, does Canada have dual citizenship? Yeah, they do. I am evidence of that. It's true. This is the brand of the preamps. When somebody was asking about the 2C, Myasnikov, they make preamps that, and the guy has a 2C, one rack space, just one channel out of a 2C plus. So check that out for a simple 2C plus rig into a power amp. That might be what you want, I think. Did you use the Marshall and Evh Pickup Shootout? No, I used the SL68. I used the SL68. That Marshall was sold. Dave sold it a while ago. One thing I wanted to say about the Pickup Shootout, if you're still watching, you're going to watch the Shootout. So I'm going to try and, I explained this in the video, but I hope it made sense. Van Halen 1 has such a different sound than Van Halen 2 onwards. Van Halen 2 onwards is much more similar in the high-end content. I think, you know, the JBL was probably as part of that, and also just maybe board EQ that they did. So for all the songs that I play from Van Halen 1 in the video, I've got a certain EQ curve going. That is like a, you know, like I think probably Don Landé did board EQ to the mics going in. That's a certain thing, and it just seems consistent for Van Halen 1. And then for Van Halen 2 to like onwards, I feel like there's a different kind of thing going on, you know, with the top end. So when you watch the video, all the songs that you hear me play from Van Halen 1 have a consistent EQ. From pickup to pickup to pickup to pickup. You can directly compare the pickups from Van Halen 1 songs, and you'll hear that sound is the same. For Van Halen 2, Women Is Only First, Fair Warning songs, you'll hear this other EQ curve that I came up with. This is on the strip, right? Equivalent of like console EQ on a console, right? But it's consistent from pickup to pickup. So hopefully that makes sense. You know, so you can directly compare when I'm playing DOA on any of the pickups from one to the other, you know, and it's going to be a consistent sound. The only thing changes the pickups. But if you were to compare the sound of DOA to one of the Van Halen 1 songs, you're going to notice there's a different sound because I was going for the sound of the record. So, you know, you're going to want to compare the Van Halen 1 songs on one pickup to the Van Halen 1 songs on the other pickup, on the other pickup, on the other pickup, right? Van Halen 2 onwards, consistent EQ curve for all those. Does that make sense? I think so. I think so. I was trying to, you know, closely nail in the ballpark nail the tones of those records, you know. How close to Van Halen 2 does the Wampler Pinnacle get? The Wampler Pinnacle is one of the best sort of Van Halen pedals out there. The Pinnacle Deluxe, I think, the slightly bigger one, I thought was really, really good. I did a video of it, maybe 2015 or 16, something like that. Oh, that's an interesting point. If the only pickup was piezo bridge and the only preamp was made by Radio Shack, everyone would write music. Yeah, you'd either be in the game for writing songs or you wouldn't, would you? You know, that's it. Wouldn't you? I should say, not would you? Yeah. If I love the guitar sounds of George Lynch, like I do, EVH, Warren DeMartini, and did not have the money to buy original Plexi, would you recommend? Yeah, SL68. SL68 gets you there all day long, man. I mean, you know, the one thing they don't put in it right now is a bright cap, but that's just an easy, it's on the volume pot, it's just a little cap that you know, and then it sounds exactly like a, you know, it just makes it more friendly not having the bright cap with single coils and things across the range. But if some people try it and they go, oh, it's not as aggressive as an old Marshall, yeah, it's just that one cap, you know, and it's just the easiest thing in the world to tack that in there. And then you've basically got straight up 68 with a couple twists, you know, it's got the Van Halen fat cap in it and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it does those tones all day long in spades, and it's made better than any, you know, more reliable, more consistent, you know. Hind Guitar, Jakarta, Indonesia, incredible inventory. That's the store I believe I visited in Indonesia. And yeah, that guy's got a lot of guitars in Jakarta. That's true. Yeah. How does Reb Beats get a good tone out of EMGs? Well, I think the obvious answer is it's really in his hands, you know. He's just a terrific guitar player and really musical. He's musical. He's fantastic. How did you originally get in touch with Sir? I don't remember. I probably just found an email for the company or found a phone number and called them. And at the time, I was playing with Jewel, I remember. I probably hit them up and I bought a guitar and I said, hey, I just wanted to hit you guys up and touch base. I'm, you know, a touring guy and do this stuff. And I think it was Ed Yoon I probably talked to at first and invited me to come out and visit the factory. And I had, you know, I had some YouTube videos up then, maybe with the guitar. I might have done the Van Halen videos with it, you know, so maybe they knew me. Oh, no, that didn't happen yet. I remember driving out and meeting John, them giving me a tour of the old original factory and talking to him. And he said, you know, he talked to me about some of the stuff I was doing. And then he was like, yeah, I got this new amp. And he was about to bring out the Badger. And I remember he was like, check this amp out. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I love this thing. Can I get one of these? And he said, yeah. And he gave me an artist price on one of the first prototypes. They'd made 25 prototypes, I think, the first run. And they got it to me, and then I put out a video. This is the, you know, early days of YouTube, that Badger 18 video. And that just blew up, like went really, really well for, you know, and it was kind of probably one of the very first amp demos on YouTube, I think. And they were really happy about it. And they called me and said, wow, this video that you put out is really, we're hearing from our dealers that, you know, they were very happy with it. And that, you know, and then our relationship kind of went from there, you know. That's how it went. It was really, the video wasn't something they asked me to do. It was just like, they gave me a nice price on the amp and said, you know, we'd love to do more with you, whatever. And they sent me on my way, you know, and I thought, how can I, you know, this was a nice thing they did for me. I'll record this amp and put it on YouTube. And then it just kind of organically went from there. It was really nice. Yeah, I still love going out there. I love driving out there. The drive is always fun. Like on my way, I'm excited to go out there and see those guys. They're like family, you know. And I like going out there and seeing the, you know, how it is, the factory, and, you know, guitars and amps, and we talk about, you know, we work on things, and it's always exciting to me. I don't know, it makes me feel young. Yeah. Super fun. There was a fella that was saying I missed his questions, and I'm really sorry about that. And I'm forgetting his name now, but I'm looking back. Let's see. I can't seem to get the same amount of groan out of my S68 as you do when dimed and through reactive load. No, I don't use a boost. It's just my hands, man. Honestly, I don't do anything different than, you know, I mean, you might want to look at the first tube and see if it's a JJ. You know, put a Chinese tested in there. The tubes we were talking about earlier that somebody doesn't like, or says they don't like. You know, check that out and make sure it's, you know, and put a you know, a bright cap like this, the 70s or, you know, 69, 70, 71, 72 spec bright cap on the volume pot can help if you're running anywhere, you know, 8 or below. It just makes the amp like, you know, more rock. So that can be helpful. But when you played Audio Slave with Chris, did he want the solos to sound like Tom? That's a really good question. He never ever brought that up. Ever. He really with solos let you do whatever you wanted to do. So honestly, I would play like exactly what I thought I should do, and then he would never question it. So like on Be Yourself, whatever the melody, you know, I would start with that, and then I would take off and do a much more sort of bluesy rock Eddie Van Halen solo or something than Tom did. He never said anything. He was cool, you know. And like a stone, it's a part of the song, and more than a solo, it's a melody. I feel like it's the melodic bridge of the song. It's a musical thing that you kind of have to play. So I would just do that verbatim. And other songs, I would do things verbatim or just completely make up my own thing. If I thought it was because Tom sometimes did those solos that were sort of more like noise solos, you know what I mean? That were distinctly him, but like it would have been weird for me to try and emulate that. You know what I mean? Show Me How to Live. I can't remember even like exactly what Tom did in that, but I did my own solo where I came up with like a dotted eighth delay thing and did that and played around that and just wrote my own part there where it seemed more like guitar solo-y. A little more, I went a little more classic rock. Whether or not that was the right approach, I don't know. But generally speaking, that was my approach to Tom's solo. Yeah. With Kim's solos, it's way more that psychedelic. You know, Yogi did a lot of those, but I did a few. I played the solos on Slaves and Bulldozers, and I played the kind of lead on the end of Black Hole Sun, you know, and I would like add a bunch of delay and echo and just do long bends all the way up the neck and end up on the top note where Chris is screaming, you know, and then go into the ah! Yeah, good times. Just playing Black Hole Sun live. Yes, I do. What else we got? The Curse. Never did that with Chris. No, I don't think so. Guess I'll be listening to Audio Slave next. You know, Audio Slave, it's like, I definitely playing with Chris, I had a real appreciation of the songs, and there's some fun-ass jams there, man. You know, and just some great tunes, too. Reb Beach and EMGs. No, I was talking about that. Somebody said, how did he get a good tone with EMGs? And I just said, I think it's in his hands, you know. Reb uses PT 100s, and I think he likes the original version, which have sort of a more low end in the preamp. And he runs the gain, as far as I know, on 10 with the bass on 10, I think. Like, it's kind of wild the way he sets and he gets a good tone. It's like in your hands, you know. What do you play? And it's interesting. Not the way I would set it up, you know. There are hyper virtuosos, Lane, Govan, Becker, and Eddie is the king, but I usually tell non-musicians Alan Holdsworth is the guy every virtuoso you've ever heard of looks up to. That's kind of true. Kind of true, you know. I would say Ted Green, you know. I mean, Eric Johnson was like a Ted Green fan. Who I took lessons from Ted for a while, and some LA folks have as well. He was you know, I know some guitar players that nobody knows that are like, Mark Goldenberg's another guy in LA that's just like, holy shit. Like, these guys, like one of the most musical guitarists, you know, musicians in general that I've ever heard. Incredible, you know. And Ted was like that too. Ted would blow your mind, you know. I'd go over to Ted's for lessons, and, you know, he would play like, he'd sit there cross-legged on the floor, you know, in his bare feet. He was just kind of an eccentric dude, you know, and he'd be playing a telly or something, and he'd be going, you know, this Beatles song that goes like this, and he'd be playing it, but it would be all the parts, like the bass and the vocals and everything. Like, he'd be doing like off the top of his head, not some rehearse thing, he'd just go, you know, how, you know, in My Life goes like this, you know, like a jazz player would, right? And he'd just be kind of reharmonizing the whole thing and playing while he's talking to you. And then the bass goes like this, and then there's this movement, and it's like, and I would just be like, my 20-something-year-old young mind, I often I would leave depressed, to be honest, from his lessons, because I'd feel like I was so overwhelmed that I didn't understand. But I think he was really like, he was on that savant kind of level, you know? And it was just like another kind of musicianship. He's not just playing guitar parts or like, you know, rock guitarist or something. He was more like, he had the ability to listen to a song and absorb it in a way that like was so three-dimensional, you know? Whereas most guitar players will listen and learn the guitar part, and he was just like every vocal melody and harmony, and he could hear everything, and then he would just play it. It would come out of him. It was otherworldly, you know. It's like where music is magic or something, you know. That's the way Ted Green was, you know, just unbelievable. So, yeah. What else we got here? Gain and compression. Robert Barker was asking a question. Typing on a phone. V1 tube. Oh, you're talking about the SL68. Yeah, check the V1 tube and then also put the bright cap in it, you know, or have a tech do it. Just put a Marshall value, you know, like a would be in a 70, 71, 72 aggressive bright cap, and see if you like that. If you tend to run the gain up high, you'll probably like it. It makes it more aggressive on. You can almost get like, rather than running it on 10, you can run it on 7.5 or 8, and you almost get a more aggressive sound because the bright cap comes into play and just like, and it has, you guys, old Marshall guys know what I'm talking about, but it's a cool sound, you know. All right, you guys, I should go so that I can get this video ready to put out. It's coming out in 45 minutes, so I'm gonna get the thumbnail uploaded and stuff. And thanks for bearing with me with my technical problems. If you've watched from the beginning, I'm gonna edit the video, so if, you know, anybody goes back and watches it later, the first 5 minutes is not full of a bunch of crap. And I'll figure out my internet this week and try and get the broadband here working properly, so that I don't have to use my, you know, my phone works better than the internet. It's crazy. Anyway, Eddie Van Halen pickup video coming out in 45 minutes. Please watch. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you hear. If I have time, I'm going to put the timestamps for each pickup too, so you can skip around chapters, you know, in the video description, and also underneath it should be chapters. Okay, guys, thanks so much. Thanks for all the super chats. I love you all. Thanks for listening to my rants. You guys rock. Take care.